Hey everyone, coming to you this week from the infield of Eagle Raceway here in Eagle, Nebraska. The schedule with Interstate Batteries, High Limit Racing, keeps us pretty busy, but I just didn't want to slow down and miss a week of getting more conversations out. And I know I say something like this with every single one of them, but this is one conversation that I have been thinking about releasing and showing to the world ever since the day we shot it. And the day we did shoot it actually happened to be the day of our guest's birthday. He was very generous with his time and very generous with his stories. Clinton Boyles sits down on the couch and talks all about his life in racing. He's been a driver. He still is a driver. He's been a crew chief, a crew member, and these days he's a team manager for a pretty high-profile organization with a pretty well-known car owner. He talks about that a little bit at the start of his conversation on the couch, but as is the theme with the couches that made us, quickly he gets into the people who opened up their homes and gave him a couch, gave him a guest room, and even a spare closet inside of a race shop. And all of those stories are great. You learn about some amazing people and what Clinton learned and went through while staying with them. But why this conversation may be my favorite one I've recorded to this point is because Clinton takes it a step further. He gets pretty deep towards the middle and end of this conversation when he talks about the choices and some of the bad decisions he made that resulted in him losing opportunities and losing seats in race cars he was driving. Clinton Boyles proves that just because someone opens up their door and shows you a couch or shows you a guest room, it's not kick your feet up an easy street the rest of the way to the winner's circle. You got to hold up your end of the bargain when someone shows you generosity and lets you into their home and tries to help you out. There's some incredible stories in here. I learn a lot about Clinton, and I think we all can learn a lot about making good decisions and reciprocating the generosity and doing everything you can to show people that you're not just appreciative, but you're worth their time and help as well. I hope you enjoy this conversation with Clinton Boyles because I thoroughly have been looking forward to getting this one out, and I enjoyed being a part of it. So with that, here to tell us about the couches that made him, Clinton Boyles.
First of all, an official happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Coming here to the couch to record on your birthday.
Yeah. There's no place I'd rather be. I promise.
Well, I don't believe that.
Birthdays in my life, being this close to Christmas, are like pretty minuscule.
Yeah.
So Christmas
totally
overshadows it. And then my nephew Whelan's birthday is in 3 days. So that definitely takes over. So just another day in my life.
Yeah, you're not gonna upstage Whelan for your birthday before his birthday.
Yep.
But yeah, that's the thing. My birthday's in June, so I'm as far away from Christmas as you can get. And you guys get screwed on the December birthdays.
Yeah, it's tough. I spent my whole life not having birthday parties and getting one present for my birthday and Christmas. So yeah, it is what it is. It'll be all right. We'll survive.
Well, we'll have to talk to Joe about that later.
And let my mom know.
Yeah, say, hey,
make her feel bad.
Hey, Clinton said that he kind of grew up pretty in poverty.
Well, in comparison to my sister, yes, like she had birthday parties for 3 parties each year for her birthday and all that. So yeah, some could say I had it rough.
I mean, you just did. But seriously, happy birthday. Thanks for making time. I know this isn't the only thing you got going on today. It's funny. I was just telling you, I got to have Connor Daly here and his birthday was the day before. So this couch it just encourages birthdays, I guess, or something.
Yeah.
I don't really get it. But yeah, this isn't the only thing you're doing today. You're in town. You're getting ready with your own equipment for the Chili Bowl, which is coming up, the Tulsa Shootout, which you will be competing in. But the bigger thing, I think, here is not to diminish your driving career, which is very exciting and worthwhile to talk about, but you're in a new position these days.
Yeah. I guess head guy at Kyle Larson Racing Development. I started that a couple weeks ago, moved out to Mooresville, North Carolina, and putting down the foundation of what's going to be his micro sprint team for next year with Owen and Audrey racing, and Kyle race some too for us. So yeah, that's a massive change in my life to go from the last 2 years being on a national tour with High Limit and with the World of Outlaws. And then, going down to, I say down, it's not a downward move, but going to race micros.
Geographically, just moving down to North Carolina.
Down to North Carolina. So yeah, I'm honestly so excited. I spent a week down in Oklahoma building a junior sprint for Audrey that she's going to run at Shootout. I'm not going to be in charge of it at Shootout, but she's going to run that car. And when I got done building, I was like, wow, this is badass. Like, I'm actually really pumped to be doing this. It's first time in a while. I've been super excited to just work on race cars and do something new. So that was refreshing. And getting out to North Carolina, Kyle and his family have been so welcoming, and just kind of everyone around there has been awesome to work with. So I'm looking forward to 2026.
I mean, that's crazy when you think about it's essentially your program at Kyle Larson Racing. And we just got to talk about a little bit of this over a delicious lunch at Bricker's here in Brownsburg, Indiana. Hopefully that's what every 30-year-old dreams of having on their birthday lunch is a Bricker's cheeseburger. But you were telling me that it wasn't probably this black and white simple, but it was pretty much as simple as Kyle Larson calling you and saying, "Hey, I want you to come run this thing for me."
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, it all started back in August when the 55 Vermeer team and I, split ways. And I spent the next couple of months just telling everyone that called me, I'm just going to hear out all my options. I'm going to run the Hyde Rider Motorsports 19 car to kind of finish out this year and like get back to loving racing. I kind of got away from that where it wasn't near as much fun as I had, maybe 5 years ago doing it. And wanted to get back to just being happy as a person, I guess. So yeah, a lot of big life changes, in August for me. And I couldn't even tell you what month it was, but Kyle called me shortly after that and said, "Hey man, what are you doing next year?" And told him I don't really have anything, just kind of hearing out all my options. And when Kyle gives you an offer like that, you got to seriously consider it. So he was like, "Yeah, this is what I want to do with my kids. I would love to have you be on board." And I tried to stall on him for a little while. And like 2 weeks later, he like pinned me down. I was like, "Hey man, let's do it or let's not do it." And so, took the job then and finished out the year in the 19. Luckily he gave me the time to do that and enjoy driving again and kind of get back in the flow of things. And then, it's all happened really quick since then. And I know our first race is going to be January 30th, I believe. So it'll be here really, really fast.
The first race as in the like a race that you're running the whole deal for.
Yeah. That I'm in charge of everything, got to have the cars built, trailer ready, all that stuff. So it'll be here really soon by the time we get down to Tulsa for the shootout, Chili Bowl. And then it's, I believe, basically 2 weeks after that.
Well, this will come out way, way, way after that January 30th day. These probably aren't going to start coming out till race season gets going. So by the time these air, people will know very quickly if you're a successful program leader or not. But what an honor. And this isn't what we're going to talk about the whole time. We're going to talk about the places that you had to go to get to this spot in your career. And at only 30 years old, it's not exactly like we're talking about, you've made it, you've reached the top. It's all downhill from here. But I mean, seriously, what's that like when a guy as accomplished and as established as Kyle Larson calls you personally and says, "I want you to handle my children's racing careers from a technical and a mechanical standpoint"? He's obviously probably trusting you with some driver coaching with as good as you are behind the wheel. What's that moment like when he calls you and he's like, "Hey, I want to build this program and you're going to lead it"?
Yeah, it's honestly pretty insane to think about. Just when you see Kyle Larson's name pop up on your phone, it's wild. And like, it's hard not to fangirl a little bit,
totally.
Kyle and I are similar in age, but you still you almost look up to him growing up, if you want to say that. He's our guy of our generation. Right. And to see what he's done is insane. And think now, I spend almost every day in communication with him, at the shop with him.
You're driving his truck to lunch.
Yeah. He's super, involved in the program, which is really cool. I wasn't sure, how that would be, but he wants to be, hands-on and, okay, these are the engines we're going to run, or these are the chassis we're going to buy. And, how are you going to go about this? And just wants to be involved in the program. So that's really cool. But for him to call me and say, you're who I want to trust to develop, help develop my kids into where, we see how talented they are, where they want to go. That's an honor. It's insane. And I feel super fortunate. It still almost doesn't feel real. Like, I think I'm maybe a little bit numb to the entire circumstances of everything, but yeah, out of everyone in the entire country, to be the guy that gets that phone call from Kyle is nuts. And just couldn't be more thankful for the opportunity and, having, like I said, having fun again. Like, he's brought fun back into racing for me, and I'm almost more thankful to him for that than anything else.
Well, I think, you said you're still a little numb to it. Not that you asked for my opinion, but I don't know if it's so much that you're numb to it, but that's the beautiful thing I think about dirt racing. And you're well aware, you've helped me a ton personally in my learning curve, because I wasn't born and raised in dirt track racing. Really wish I was, but I wasn't. You've been a massive part of helping me learn the sport. And when I came over, one of the first things I realized was like when Kyle Larson, when Tony Stewart, when any of those massive names show up in the dirt racing world again, when they come back to it, they're not looked at as like, by some people, maybe they're looked at as like just, oh, that's the guy I watch race on Sundays on television. But like to watch you just stand at the bottom of the ramp with Kyle at Tulsa, and you're both in fire suits, you guys aren't looking at each other as like, oh, I'm Clinton Boyles looking up at Kyle Larson. It's just, we're both racers. We're both trying to figure out what's going on here, and we're conversing over just another day at work.
Yeah, and like I can't emphasize that enough to everyone else. Like Kyle literally is a normal human, right? I see Kyle the dad more than I see anyone else, at this point. And so, yeah, it is definitely just another human until you watch him strap into a race car, and then I think he becomes one of those gods, right? That like Kyle is a different person at that point. But every day-to-day stuff, he is totally different, and it goes beyond Kyle. Like building this program, I'm going to be heavily looked at by Paul Silva, who is also someone that I look up to, and how he runs his program, and Cliff Daniels on the NASCAR side of things. Like these guys are all going to have eyes on how I'm building and operating this program, and that's a lot of pressure for me to be like, okay, dot every I, cross every T, do everything right, and that's cool. I mean, I think pressure is a privilege in life, and just I want to rise to the occasion and perform for Kyle, for Owen and Audrey, for Caitlin, eventually Cooper, their youngest son. He's going to run. So you just, when you get involved with people like that, you don't want to let them down. So it's easy to put your best foot forward. Man,
I never even thought about that, where you're like, okay, Paul's a natural because, he's in the dirt world, and inevitably you guys will be at some of the same events where, as Owen and Audrey get older and you're still involved in this, I imagine, you might be at the same tracks where Kyle and Paul are competing, however some of those events and nights get chalked up. But then for you to take it to that next level and go, oh, NASCAR Cup Championship winning crew chief Cliff Daniels is going to be looking at how his drivers' kids are doing in a program led by yourself. I mean, I didn't even think about that. And you're right. I do agree with you. Pressure is a privilege. So I want to ask you, what do you enjoy more? Because I think you're so good at the part we're talking about now of your career, the mechanical, the out of the seat kind of part of it. What do you enjoy more? And this isn't a gotcha. I'm not looking for a specific answer, but what do you really particularly enjoy more? Because I just think you're so good at both. I can't imagine which one you actually sit and daydream about more.
And I think I don't know how you pick one. Like, I guess I just grew up loving racing. And so if there's any aspect of racing that I can do or be involved in, I love diving into it and just learning how, that side of our sport works, because I care a lot about our sport. So, and I don't know how to answer how I like one more than the other, because at some points you love them both. At some points you hate, every side of it. But yeah, it is really cool to get to work on things. I always feel like my brain's probably been a bit better than my ability, or my ability to figure things out has been really good. And so if I can be the guy that, puts Owen in a chance to win some big races someday, whether it's, shootout, kind of be the first big race we probably go to next year. Like, can I put him in those situations? And I was thinking the other day driving back to Indy, like, man, hopefully I'm the guy that gets Owen Larson his first shootout, his first big micro win, on into a first midget win, things like that. And like, that's pretty cool. That's a lot of, stuff, I guess, that not everyone's going to get to say they were a part of. Yeah. So, in our small racing world, those are once in a lifetime opportunities that I'm, presented with, and hopefully make the most of.
Well, no doubt. I mean, this isn't, I sat here and had a similar discussion with Connor Daly the other day, and it's not like he or you need a guy like me to stroke you, but I just genuinely believe that he's in the position that he's in, and you're in the position you're in currently because you've earned it, right? And you guys are good at what you do. You're great at what you do. And Kyle Larson, the best race car driver of our generation, hands down, bar none, doesn't reach out to Clinton Boyles, from middle of nowhere, Missouri, to lead his children on the start of their racing career if you're not great at what you do.
Yeah.
So again,
I appreciate that.
Well, it's not like you need me to tell you, but I hope that you realize it.
Yeah, and we'll dive into it. I guess that's what we're here for, but it doesn't come without a lot of hardships along the way.
Exactly.
Right?
Oh man, this guy, you can
I'm
tell
on it.
You're media trained. You should get into broadcasting. You set that up perfectly. So let's talk about how you get to this point where we're at right now, where you're, the guy at Kyle Larson Racing Development, and you're building that program for his kids and his family. Let's talk about how you get there. Born to Deb and Joe Boyles in the year of 1995, and I only know that because, like I said, You turned 30 today.
Yep.
Here in 2025. So yeah, that's
You're good at math.
Yeah, my math's math in there.
Yeah.
I wish I could do that on the dice roll as quick as I just did that. What was growing up with your mom, your dad, Jess? What was that like coming up as a kid?
Yeah, I feel like I had just the most normal middle of America life you could have had growing up. My dad raced, which that's probably the most abnormal thing about, our life. But yeah, I had a little land, a small, tight community of a neighborhood, and played sports growing up. I was probably more into sports than racing growing up.
Big soccer kid.
Yeah. My sister and my dad spent, like, as a childhood, spent most of the time going racing. And then I would go with my mom and play sports a lot. And
did Jess race?
No, she never
She
raced.
just went with your dad?
Yep, she just loved it. She still to this day maybe loves it more than I do. My sister's absolutely ate up with sprint car and midget racing, dirt racing in general. So,
well, she married the right guy.
Yeah. She maybe pushes Hunter to race more than than he wants to some days. But no, so yeah, racing was a big part of my, like, me growing up, but I wouldn't say I was overly involved in racing until into my, late teens, early 20s. But yeah, a lot of sports, football, baseball, basketball, soccer was a big one, played lacrosse, anything I could do.
Yeah, you played a lot.
I just loved being competitive, I guess, probably more than anything. And I did have a go-kart when I was like 6, like a flat track go-kart, and ran it like twice, and kind of interfered with my dad's racing a little bit, and just expensive. And so we didn't do that. And, later on at like 13 years old, I think, we got into the micro ranks, and my cousin Cameron had bought a micro.
Cameron Key.
Yep. And so I went and watched him a couple times, like, dude, I need one of these. Like, this is cool. So bought a micro, struggled really bad, like just struggled with random things along the way. It wasn't necessarily like we were slow. Just seemed like we couldn't finish races because we'd blow a motor or something silly would happen. And so then got back out of racing kind of at that point and dove into like high school sports big time. Mm-hmm. I played soccer in high school, and that was a full-time commitment. Was, I say, fairly successful. Yeah, won some awards, had some good offers for college. And to this point, still hadn't ever really raced much outside of like a little bit of micro stuff for like a year or two, and then the go-kart stuff at the beginning. And had some college offers for soccer. My mom said, I wanted to get back into racing. And my mom was like, no, you've worked all your life. We spent all this money on lessons, whatever.
Yeah, your athletic career.
Yeah, you have to go to college. And I'm like, well, that's dumb. I don't want to go to college, Mom. I didn't really like school. Mm-hmm. It almost came easy to me. School did. I never did any homework. I never studied. Like, I had good grades. Mm-hmm. And that all changed when I did go to college. So I called the local community college there in Kansas City and said, hey, a couple of my buddies are coming here. Do you have a spot for me where I could get a scholarship? And he was kind of like caught off guard that I was calling him to go play there.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, absolutely. So I went and played college soccer for 2 years. Funny story that literally basically no one knows this, but my first semester of school, our like team report card came in, and we were like low in our general community. Like, there was comparisons for like our teams.
What do you team report card? Do you mean like
so like all of our grades?
Okay,
no,
all the kids on the team's grades,
academic grades.
Got it.
And like as a whole compared to other teams and stuff around, we were super low. And somehow the parents all found out, and they were I guess talking this and that. And my mom's like, can't be Clinton. He gets good grades all the time. Like this and that. It was me. I was almost flunking out of college my first semester.
Okay.
Like my GPA started with like, I think a 1. And
really?
you had to maintain a 2.0. So I got put on academic probation. It was like the first time in my life I was like, whoa, I have to study and do work. So everything was kind of can we cuss on here?
Yeah.
Everything was kind of a shit show.
Yeah.
At the start of like my college career, I was like, this is the first time in life I've been like challenged outside of just physical, sports stuff.
Yeah.
So that was cool. Like, I got to overcome that. I finished my 2 years with like solid grades.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of figured out how to navigate that part of life. And then, yeah, at the end of my college career would have been 2016, I guess 2015, nearing the end of it. I got a phone call from Kathy Hockett.
Yeah.
And for people out there that don't know, you maybe know like Brooke and Casey Schumann. It's Brooke's mom. And our families have been super close our entire life. She's like, hey, I saw you run the Chili Bowl. You need to be in a sprint car. Da, da, da. I said, yeah, Kathy, I would love to be in a sprint car. I don't have a sprint car.
And clearly you guys have a relationship before this.
Yeah,
She's not just calling you saying, hi, I'm Kathy.
Yeah.
Right.
Have a super, super close relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And she had seen me like run some other races here and there that I would do like something one-off. And I think in 2015, maybe I'd like made the A main on my prelim night and did well.
Mhm.
And I'm like, yeah, like let's do it. She's like, well, I'm gonna call my brother Jack, and I'm like, okay,
Yep,
call
yep.
him. Yeah, that'd be awesome. And
yeah.
not long after that, I get a phone call from Jack Hockett, which
Yeah.
is cool, right? Like Jesse Hockett was another guy I looked up to as a kid. I guess we could even double back to like why I got back into racing was non-wing sprint cars at Lakeside Speedway in
Hell yeah.
Kansas City, Missouri.
Hell
it was
yeah.
like the most badass thing you ever seen. And my cousin Cameron and I, we would go out there as little kids to the Ron Schumann Classic. That was the name of the race. And it was
Casey's dad.
Yep. It was the Tour and Topless series. And they had a little Midwest swing every summer. And guys from Arizona and California would come out, and all the Indy guys would come out. And you just had like this conglomeration of really, really good race car drivers that one weekend in Kansas City.
Yeah.
And so they had a pedal car trophy, and I fell in love with that. That's what made me like truly be like, man, sports are kind of whatever. Like this sprint car racing thing seems really cool.
Heck yeah.
And I didn't know a ton of them at the time, but they just like caught my eye, right? And so later on, yeah, Jack Hockett calls me. He's like, hey, I'm kind of done with what I've been doing with my sprint car stuff. He said, I don't really want to be involved in it. If you and your dad want to come pick up my trailer, race ready sprint car, everything I have, he's like, I'll give it to you.
Oh, what?
He's like, yeah, I'll give it to you. You go run this thing with Brooke and Casey, who had just bought the War Series.
Yeah,
So,
Power Eye.
yep, supporting his family. Go run this thing. You have to, maintain it, operate it, pay for it. Like, I'll provide you what it takes to start. You keep it going. I was like, hell yeah, that's awesome. So, kind of around that time, I started a lawn care company and kind of kept that going so that I had money to pay for this racing thing, and went and ran in 2016 with that War Series that Brooke and Casey started, and had never ran a sprint car ever before this, and went out and, I mean, we did well. Like, yeah, we won the championship that year. We won a bunch of races, had a really successful season, and that kind of kickstarted everything that we're probably going to dive into.
What do you attribute that to have never having been in a sprint car before? And I've met a few people like you. Toby Balboen was on this couch, and he's got an incredible career going right now doing media and doing content, but he raced. And I think that's what makes him so good at his content, just like that's what makes you so good at the crew chiefing and the world you're in now. Also, you're broadcasting. You're phenomenal at that because you are a driver first before anything else. So I've just got to ask, jumping into a 410 sprint car is terrifying, I think, to anybody who's ever even done it, let alone you've never done it. So I don't know. I'm just curious, like this total side shoot. Why were you able to be so good right off the bat?
I don't know. Yeah, truthfully, I'm not sure. I felt like when I ran the micro some, we were fairly competitive, but it did seem like when I went from like a restrictor to the A class division, when I got a little bit more power, I was better. And I don't know why.
Yeah, totally.
My dad was good. I mean, my dad had definitely natural talent, and he was a third generation racer. So it'd been in my family. So yeah, probably just, you watch races, and I think at some point I'm probably dumb enough to not really be scared. Like that's kind of spent my whole life being the kid that's hurt all the time. Just doing dumb stuff because I didn't know any better.
I mean, you have to be a little.
There's like it's a saying, but there's a song too. That, like, if you're going to be dumb, you got to be tough.
Yeah,
man, sign me up. That's me.
That's what Tony Stewart says. He's like, I heard him once say, when you grew up in Southern Indiana, you realize pretty quick if you're going to be dumb, you got to be tough.
Yeah, and that plays out my entire life. It's still playing out to this day. So,
well, it's not meant to be an insult at all, but I mean, I do really feel like to get into one of the things that we're talking about, a 410 wing or non-wing sprint car, something's got to be a little.
Yeah.
You gotta have a little bit of ability to just turn off a part of your brain and go, yeah, I'm gonna go do this.
Yeah, and I will say too, like leading into that year in that sprint car, my sister had already been with Hunter Schoenberg for a while, and so he was very helpful as far as like, okay, this is how we're gonna build the race car. This is what you can expect. This is what to look for going into it. And yeah, we practiced it one time for 4 laps and then went and raced.
Wow.
And that was, we went straight in the first race night. So
were you scared?
I honestly, I've hit my head a lot of times. And so I don't have as good a memory about it as I wish I did. Like, I remember the pictures of everything, and I kind of remember how it all played out. But as far as like me telling you about like my emotions and stuff, if I feel like I'd be kind of faking my way through like telling you, because I've hit my head too many times to remember a lot of that stuff. But I do remember having nerves about it all. Just being like, can I do it?
What's scared? Like, scared wasn't the right word, but like apprehensions.
Yes, yeah. You're just timid of the idea of failing.
Yeah,
you don't want to fail, right? But again, like my whole life, I've been someone that loves to be challenged, loves to try to overcome those obstacles, push yourself through new awkward things. I'm really comfortable in awkward situations. Like that's something that I feel like is probably a positive quality about me is you're going to find it really hard to make me awkward to where I'm uncomfortable and just don't want to be like, I'll push my way through whatever.
What a humble brag.
Yeah.
I'm good in awkward situations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you're naming some incredible people. I mean, what kind of a guy is Jack Hockett? And I know, you just won that race this past summer.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if I think, Walker had it on in the car or something, and we listened to the interview, and Scotty Cook goes and talks to Jack Hockett, and it was just, he just is gushing over you, right? And then you talk about Hunter, obviously just a awesome guy, great race car driver. But it sounds like from the get-go, before you ever had a couch or a guest room that you needed to crash on, you had incredible people in your corner.
Yeah, my entire career has been based around having incredible connections and being surrounded by the right people at the right time. And yeah, it starts with my dad. I think he instilled a lot of that into me and like taught me more than I'll ever know. And then you meet these people along the way. And yeah, like I said, Jack happened. Kathy called me at the right time where I was getting out of school, didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then Jack has the right stuff for me. And you just kind of meet these people. And my buddy Lucas, which we'll talk about in a little while, he says I fall uphill every time. Every time I fall uphill. And like, I was like, that's kind of a dick thing to say. But then you think about it and you're like, well, yeah, no, that time, yeah, this time, yeah, you're kind of right. Like, I'm just super blessed. And I mean, how many times do you hear people say it's not about what you know, it's about who you know?
Oh,
and
that's the running theme of this show I found out recently is it's not what you know, it truly is who you know.
I'm a product of a who you know lifestyle, and I faked my way through a lot of things until I can figure it out and then try to, progress and excel and succeed. And that's just, I made a lot of mistakes along the way, but you learn from them, and I think that's how you get better.
I know you joke mostly when you say that whole faking thing, and I'm not sitting here trying to be Mr. Positivity because most people who know me wouldn't claim that's my typical MO. But what I believe when you say you're faking things, you were learning actively.
Yeah.
You were learning in the moment of whatever it was, driving that 410 sprint car for the first time, building one with Hunter Schurenberg, right? Learning from Jack Hockett. You were literally actively learning, which again goes back to what you said, high school seemed to come pretty easy to you, whereas college didn't. And who knows why the shift there, but like you didn't fake your way, I think, through so much. You actively learned and grew in the moment, where some people got to be told something, then they think about it, then they write it down, then they grow from it. You seemed like you were very, just an active participant in what was going on, and that allowed you to grow really quick.
Yeah, I appreciate you making me feel better about figuring it out as you go. Yeah, it's a lot better way to put it. But
whether you're faking or not, I mean, like you're
putting in the effort for sure.
Yes,
you're putting in the effort the entire time because you want to succeed.
Yes,
but yeah, I did go and do a lot of stuff blindly, just like. You talk about basically not ever running a sprint car. You just get in it and figure it out. I'm dive in, both feet head first, everything all at once. Let's just throw me to the wolves. I'll figure it out.
What a way to live. And I mean, it's obviously working out for you, but
so far,
up till this point, it's gotten you on this couch, which, maybe that's a good
high honor.
Maybe it's not. It's not sinking on you yet.
No,
so
we're doing great. Yeah. I don't know what Connor Daly was talking about. He must just weigh more than me or something.
Not cool.
You can clip that and send it to him.
I think it's because I advised you to sit a little bit more in the middle. He was over in the corner.
Poor guy.
Dylan Welch was over in the corner, and it sank on him. So we're just I need to make a tick mark in the wall, and if I start to see the couch get much farther than that tick mark, we're gonna reinflate here. All right, so you're driving, you're with the Hockett family, you're doing everything with a little bit of help maybe from your dad. You're getting to know Hunter pretty well. When do you finally branch out? When's the first time you leave the Boyles homestead and venture out on your own, obviously in pursuit of a career in racing?
Yeah, so not to name drop again in this whole story, but
brother, that's the whole show.
So in 2016 won a bunch of races, won the championship with War, and just debating on what to do again next year. And I don't know, it's probably in March. Jeff Taylor with Rockwell Security, sponsor of mine,
proud partner of the program.
Yeah, good.
Proud partner.
Yeah, great human being. He helped my dad. He's helped me. Done a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're in just kind of conversation about what to do, where to go, and Jeff is like, "Hey, let me have my buddy call you." Okay.
That sounds like something Jeff Taylor would say.
Who's your buddy? JJ Yaley calls me.
Yeah.
He's like, "Man," he's like, "You already won the championship there. If you stay in Missouri and race again, and you don't win the championship, it's a failure.
Yeah.
But if you move to Indy and go that route, like, you got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
You can go back. It's not a big deal. That ride's going to be there for you. So yeah, honestly, like JJ calling me was kind of one thing that convinced me to like, screw it. Let's go to Indy, and had no game plan. I moved to Indy, moved in with my sister and Hunter, who they were living out here. Hunter had been running USAC. They had a house, and moved to Indy with a suitcase and maybe $400 or $500, and said, I'm gonna figure it out. And
so this is what, 2016?
This is started 2017.
Okay.
Yeah. Early, I'm going to say March, April, probably April time at this point in 2017. And moved to Indy and moved into, I guess, a spare bedroom of my sister and Hunter's. It's where we would stay like when we would travel out there. But yeah, moved in there and had a job at CSI, the shot company, lined up for when I got out there so I could like make a little money to live. And yeah, it took off. I never really got like a sprint car ride in Indy that summer, but I did run like my own sprint car in Indy some.
Right.
And then also traveled back to Missouri to race quite a bit, I think like 15 times. So I spent a ton of windshield time that summer. I would like leave work at CSI at like 5 o'clock, go home, finish up whatever I needed to do in Indy, and then leave and get to Missouri at like 1 in the morning-ish, usually 1, 2 in the morning. Finish up all my maintenance that I had left to do on the 77 sprint car in Missouri, and then wake up, go race the next day on Saturday or Friday, Saturday, whichever it was. Wash Sunday morning, get it ready to like where most of my work was done, and then leave and head back to Indy and drive to Indy on Sunday, and then be back at work at 8 a.m. on Monday. And I spent a whole summer like kind of grinding it out like that just to be able to race and live and get by.
Well, grinding it out is the perfect term because that is a grind. Yeah. And I think that's one of the really romantic parts of dirt racing. And it doesn't have to be sprint cars. It can be midgets. It can be micros, late models, whatever. But if you're going to do this, it's not like the fly in and drive kind of pavement road course world that I came from. It's if you want to go do it, you're going to go to it. You're going to take your stuff and your helmet and your suit bag, like that great looking one from K1 Race Gear we've got behind you, and you're going to go to the event and you're going to work on your car and you're going to compete. And that's what you learned probably pretty quick after leaving home.
Yeah, for sure. It just, again, we can make this like a clip it learning point for everyone out there. They're like two best things I've learned in this entire racing career of mine. The first one, Brian Brown told me when I first started back in 2016, he said, never burn a bridge. It's not worth it. He said, there's nothing that you can say that'll make you feel good enough that burning that bridge is ever worth it. And that has saved me in my career so many times that I've just, whatever has happened in racing, in life, in anything, I don't burn that bridge. And the second one was like, you will make it further than anyone else by working harder than anyone else. And I lost that a little the way through my racing career. I think I lost sight of that and thought I kind of had it all going on, and it bit me fast down the road. But that first year, this is all new. I will do anything it takes to do it. And like living with my sister and Hunter saved me, or else I wouldn't have been able to afford it. Right. And that next year in 2018 is kind of when shit got rough for me, because I'd got a ride with Paul Hazen, which was phenomenal. Like we did really well, but I started to get lazy then and didn't have a second job. I thought, I can just be a sprint car driver only and do this. And at the same time, is when stuff got hard at home, which I guess we can dive into. Like my best friend at the time, Lucas Boland, moved to Indy, and he was going to work for Hunter on Hunter's sprint car team that he was starting, a wing sprint car team of his own. And Lucas and I lived in a room. It's literally, I swear to you, barely bigger than this, if any bigger at all. Okay. We had 2 beds in it. We both lived out of a suitcase, and like moved in, my best friend, and moved out or like even just middle of that summer, like I would just look over and be like, I hate you. I want to punch you in the face for no reason other than just to punch you in the face.
Just because you're here.
Dude, yeah. It like, that's when stuff got hard, and like I would go race on the weekends, and that was the best time because I'm away from everyone that I'd been living with, and I didn't take criticism that well or as well as I should have. And so yeah, at home life was really hard in 2018, but racing life was really good. We were successful with the 57.
You're like 22, 23 at this point.
Yeah. Yep.
So you're still very young,
still trying to figure it out. And
and figure yourself out too.
Yes. That was the most of it. I think like we talked about the sports and everything, all came so easy for me. I never had to struggle. And this was like my first time in life struggling. And I didn't know like it's okay to go ask people for help or like communicate to other people and be like, hey, I'm just not in a good situation here. Like, how can I help myself? Or, how can you help me or advice? And just kind of started to shut down all the relationship side of things in life and like push Lucas away and wanted to move out of my sisters and hunters and just, I want to go race. And so then that led into like, you'd avoid them and that hurts relationship side of things just so you can go race. But at that time, racing wasn't making me enough money to necessarily get by. So you had to suffer through it. And it just all like started to snowball in that moment.
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, you're telling some really honest stuff right now, which I genuinely appreciate, because that's the thing is like, I don't want anybody who ever watches any of these or listens to any of these to go like, oh yeah, I mean, these guys, whoever it is, whether it's, Levi or Connor or Clinton or whoever I'm fortunate enough to get on this show in the future, I don't want it to ever, the goal of this is not for people to go, oh wow, there's just great people out in the world and they're here to help you and they're going to throw you a bone, and as long as you don't spit it out, you're going to go all the way, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about getting that handout, that first real big olive branch in the form of a room, a place to stay, which is the whole, catalyst of this show, is who threw you that first rope, who got you back on the boat. And you've received that handout, you've received that helping hand, and through that, it's actually kind of causing you some anguish because you're shacked up in there in a small room, living with the guy you entered it with as your best friend, and just due to the stresses of racing, the stresses of life, the reality of living on your own, and being crammed into this little tiny room with another male of the same age, you're finding out that it's not always just a super easy path.
No, yeah, and it was hard, which those hardships I felt like led me to positive things, right? So in the midst of like, nah, screw you, I don't want to sit in this room with you all night long. I'm going to go hang out with some friends. And so I made friends, and kind of those first friends I made were Kevin and Jordan Swindell and Savannah Schatz and that Spencer Basin, kind of that group. They had just started the Speed Lab 39 sprint car team, like just started it. And so if I wasn't racing with Paul or just wanted to get away, I would go up to Brownsburg and hang out with them in their shop and help on the sprint car and pick Kevin's brain on stuff. Like, he's obviously insanely smart.
Yeah.
I would help ship out Speed Lab orders and just do whatever. Jordan would cook dinner for us. We would hang out, and like, so that created the separation that I needed to like repair my relationships back at home, right? With Lucas, and like, I never really had any issues with my sister and Hunter. I think they probably were more frustrated with me than I ever was with them, because they maybe saw the potential and I wasn't like fully reaching my potential at that time. I was being lazy. And so yeah, but being away helped kind of all of that and get me back kind of where I probably needed to be. And so that's a good thing. Like, yeah, that's pushing through hardships till you find better times.
Well, Levi sat on this couch. Levi Jones, 5-time sprint car USAC champion, 2-time Silver Crown champion, drives for Tony Stewart Racing, runs Eldora Speedway now, was hired by Roger Penske to IndyCar. Obviously an extremely well-rounded and accomplished individual. And he told me a story that I thought was just lining up exactly with what you're saying. And it's funny, before I ever knew any of this, what you're telling me, I was going to ask you about your perspective on this. And he talked about going to the place you and I just were. He said, sometimes, we'd be at the TSR shop, just down the street, and we'd go sit down and kill a few hours at Brickers. And he goes, it wasn't like we were just screwing off. We were, but his whole point was, you would just shift your perspective a little bit, and you'd leave staring at the race car and looking at setup sheets and shot curves and all this stuff. And he goes, you'd just leave that shop or those things in front of you, and you'd go and you'd sit down at Brickers and you'd have a pizza, you'd have a burger, you'd have a few drinks, and you'd still be talking about all that stuff, but just shifting your perspective and getting out of one environment into a different one. You're still talking about the same stuff. You're still chasing the same goal, but by just moving your environment, changing your environment, according to him, it had an amazing effect. That sounds like what you're talking about.
Definitely. Yeah. It was awesome just to get away and, meet new people too. Like, I'd known Lucas my whole life. I'd known my sister and Hunter my whole life. And so I just moved to this new place, and you're just stuck in this same house with all these people. So you meet new people, which is, really cool. I've looked up to Kevin. He had obviously accomplished so many things, at that point in his life. And so yeah, I just, surround yourself with the right people. And you're right. Like, you just go, you can have the same conversations, but learn two totally different things by that conversation, just kind of based off who you're talking to and what they try to draw out of you or what information they provide you. And that was always really cool. And so like, yeah, within that, then, you know, my sister and Hunter decided to move, which you're great for them, but it's like, okay, well, now that gives me the opportunity to leave without being like, hey guys, I'm just going to move out of your house.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
I'm
not
over
awkward.
it. Yeah. So, Savannah Schatz had bought a house here in Brownsburg. I was like, oh, perfect. She's looking for roommates. I'll move in there. And then lo and behold, Jason McDougal moves in. And it's like, that's a whole new, I'd known Jason from micro racing, you know, we'd been around each other, but we got to be like the best friends all over again.
Whole
You know,
new side quest
yes,
gets unlocked.
Yep, totally.
Well, before we go to Savannah's house, I did get a chance. I try to speak to people's landlords, or landlord's the wrong term, because I don't know. Were you paying Hunter and Jess anything?
No,
to
I
live?
was, yeah. And so I was never, I definitely probably didn't thank them enough for what they did for me and like letting me live there
Right.
for free when they had their own struggles, you know, that they were going through trying to make it in racing and all that.
That's the point of this, right? And I mean, like, you know, I've had people on here that have, you know, had to pay a couple $100, but it clearly wasn't nearly what they would have been paying had they been on their own.
Yep.
So that's the form of the help sometimes, right? Like Dylan Welch moves down to North Carolina to chase NASCAR broadcasting, and he has to, you know, pay some guys a couple $100 to, you know, he bounced from a few houses, but it's like, well, that's a whole hell of a lot easier than renting your own apartment and having a $1,500, $1,300 rent check every month you got to pay. So where I'm going with this is I try to get in touch with the people who owned the couches, who owned the guest rooms that you know, you guys end up staying on. I couldn't get a hold of Hunter in time. He never got back to me. He's busy, maybe out fishing right now. I doubt it very highly.
He's building micros for Shootout.
That's cool.
Which it'll be out by the time this comes out.
So while I didn't get a chance to talk to Hunter, I did get a chance to talk to your roommate, who was also benefiting from Hunter and Jess's generosity. And Lucas Boland, wonderful individual. He answered my phone call. I had no idea whose number was calling him, and I said, "You're braver than me." He brought up a few things that I thought I'd really like to get your perspective on here. And I just, again, want to thank you. You just said a lot of really honest stuff, and that's big, because it's not always just super smooth, and you know, the guest rooms are massive and they're roomy, and it's all easy. Sometimes you got to really even take the handout with some not so good. What do you think of when Lucas Boland asks me to ask you about El Abuelo?
El Abuelo. That I had a lot of phenomenal meals in El Abuelo. So that was like Lucas and I's happy place. We could go there for lunch, for dinner, whatever. It's like a little Mexican place, like right across the street from where we lived, right around the corner from the shop. El Abuelo. We'd go in there and drink a lot of margaritas, and eat a lot of tacos and chips and salsa, and just for that 30 minutes to an hour that we were in there, it was all good. Like,
he said that's where you guys would go sometimes to stay out of the shop.
Yep. You just go in there and eat an extra basket of chips just to, you know, stall whatever it is.
We're still eating.
Yes.
We can't leave yet.
But yeah, anyone that like really knows me knows my obsession with Mexican food. Like, I just love it so much. So yeah, Lucas and I spent a ton of time.
We could have gone to Green Iguana.
I know.
Just for lunch.
Man, I'm down anytime. I had Mexican the last like 5 meals I've eaten.
We had a pre-show lunch. We'll go have a post-show lunch. So he said it was a lot of like, we'd get to the shop in the morning, do just enough, head over to lunch at El Abuelo. Am I saying that right?
Yeah. Yep.
And when he first said it, he goes, ask him about El Abuelo. I go, what are you saying? Like, what is that someone's name? Is this someone that we don't talk about much anymore? And he goes, we go to El Abuelo, maybe have a few lattes, he said. And I don't think he's talking about Starbucks.
No.
And then he goes, we'd go back to the shop as slow as we could. And then there was
I already know what's coming next.
There was a little bit of shop sports.
Yes. Yeah. So shop sports was awesome. That was, and I wish I could like pull up some videos and show you. I still have some, but like we'd get all our work done for the week. Thursday, whatever, not a whole lot going on, but we're still supposed to kind of be in the shop, or like I didn't have to be, but I felt like I should be, you know, trying to be productive, and he had to be there for Hunter's deal and shop sports. So we'd set up a golf course inside the shop. We'd set up baseball. We'd set up football, beer pong.
He talked about taking the tubes that torsion bars came in.
Yeah. So it was sketchy.
And wrapping a bunch of those together.
Yeah.
To make essentially a wiffle ball bat.
Yes. Yep. And then just making a duct tape ball. And we'd play, and then the aggression towards each other. So by the end of shop sports, we get to like, all right, well, I'm going to pitch and you just catch. And I'd see how hard I could throw it at him and just try to hit him in the face. And like, yeah, it's all fun and games. And then
Now it is.
Yeah, now it is.
Now that you both lived through it.
Yeah. But it's, dude, shop sports was, that was a lot of fun. And you may get to it, but tell me if you are. There's a thing called the Thrasher board. Did he bring that up? No. So that's another like this. So I could get at Lucas because I'm athletic. So I'd throw the baseball at him. I'd, whatever, just beat up on him. So his way to get back at me was we had whiteboards for the cars with to-do list. Well, on the back of my whiteboard where my race car was, he had a Thrasher level. And if I'd run good and win races, my Thrasher level would go down towards 1. And if I'd crash, it'd go right back up to 10. And I'd just be full-time Thrasher. And so he loved just pointing out, he'd change it before I ever even got back to the shop. He'd like go there, hey, your Thrasher level's up to 8 now. You better get your shit together. It's going to be 10.
And this is Lucas?
Yeah. Just picking at me because he knew it'd make me mad. And then I'd have no money because I crashed. And yeah, so.
He did not shy away from the fact. His words were, by the end of that year, we were ready to kill each other.
Yeah.
And at first I kind of thought like, you live together. Everybody wants to get away a little bit. But I mean, it got to the point where you were maybe worried about your friendship with this guy.
I wouldn't say I was ever worried like if we would end up being friends in the grand scheme of things. But at the time, you could just tell neither of us wanted to be around each other. Yeah. We needed separation, and we just picked on each other like little kids. I'd say we probably were both fairly immature, and but I think if you talk to crew guys on the road, that probably happens way more than you realize. And like I explained to people, we live with each other. We are together. So Nate Knotts, for instance, phenomenal crew guy with Roth Motorsports, works on the 83 with Buddy. He was at Vermeer. Nate and I, similar in age, he's a little younger than me. We lived basically together nonstop 24/7 on the road. And then like, you just never leave each other's sides. You're at the track all day together. You go car wash, you go to the hotel, you go to the shop. It is 24/7. And it's like, man, if I had a wife, I wouldn't see her as much as I see you.
No,
and that's hard. Like, you get to pick your wife. Yeah. We don't get to pick our crew guys. You just, in the dirt world, you're getting whatever crew guy you can get.
Well, and if you're lucky with your wife, there's some extracurriculars that make all the BS worth it a little bit. Sometimes you're not those extracurriculars. Hopefully aren't being enjoyed with your crew members.
No, not in my camp, and probably not even outside of that, Tony, because the racing world keeps you so busy that if you're not married, good luck finding anyone that's like, oh yeah, I'll date you because
you're never going to be here.
51 out of the 52 weeks of the year. Yeah.
Well, and also just to clarify and give your story a little bit more beef, like when you say, you car wash together, you're at the track together, and then you go to the hotel together, it's not like you guys are going into the lobby, getting separate room keys and going, have a nice night. I'll see you in 8 hours, or I'll see you in 6 hours, or whatever. You're going into the same room to sleep in separate beds that are, 4 feet apart from each other. You're sharing a bathroom. Dirt racing, and I tell people about this all the time. I'm not on a race team, but I got 3 crew guys that I got to be around. We all got to be around each other way more than we ever wanted to be. And it is a lifestyle. It is a working lifestyle that I don't think anybody else probably really understands.
No, and I wish there was a way, and maybe you can hook this up, but like we used to have Ohio Speed Week when we ran the All-Star Circuit of Champions. And if we could have just had a camera crew somehow show everything else but racing, show everything away from the racetrack, it's insane. Like just the time we spend together, the things that we all do together, it's seriously a wild thing that I think race fans see us at the racetrack. That's like our happy time because we're finally done working for the most part is during, the actual races. So they get to see the great side of it. And then all of a sudden the fans leave, you shut the back door in your trailer. And it's like, all right, shit, we got to drive 2 hours to the car wash, another 30 minutes to the hotel.
Yep.
All right, we're getting to the hotel 2, 3 in the morning. All right, we're waking up at 8. We got to be out there. We got to service, drive another hour and a half to the racetrack. All right, that night's over. We only have 89 more races this year. Like, dude, it's nuts. So, but we love it, right?
You do. And like, maybe, I don't know, hopefully I won't get in trouble for telling this story, but like, go back and your track, Lucas Oil. I mean, it's not your track, but you've probably spent some time there and you were victorious there earlier.
Yeah.
Hockett was at Lucas Oil, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Hockett's always at Lucas Oil.
Always.
So this year, Rico Abreu parks on the front straightaway at the last race at Lucas Oil, and he's just wrapped up the Roto-Rooter Midweek Championship. Well, go back and look at those photos on the front stretch, because the only person out there with him at the car is Brady Forbrook.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know this story, but like the reason the rest of the crew wasn't there was because I heard through the grapevine later that, and Rico's put this in some videos that Toby's made for him, so I don't think this is exactly the world's biggest secret, but well, 5 minutes before they came and got Rico after the feature to come out there and take those photos and accept the championship trophy, well, he and Ricky are screaming at each other.
Yeah.
And I don't just mean like having a disagreement. I mean like screaming at each other. And so, and that's the only reason I tell that story is they're maybe the most successful pairing in sprint car racing right now,
They
right?
are this year. Yeah.
They just wrapped up the High Limit Championship. They're winning all these races. It's Rico Abreu, Ricky Warner, the Dream Team, and even them at that level of success can be at each other's throats.
Yeah, and that's when you're running good. I mean, imagine when
that's
you're
the
running
point.
bad. Like it's freaking hard. And like not to like cry wolf by any means here, but twice now we've added the dynamic of Hunter being the driver, who's also my family. And so
Your
how do you
brother-in-law.
how do you separate that relationship, your working relationship, and then your family relationship? And man, it's hard. It
Yeah, I
takes a
can't imagine.
toll on everybody. And it did. The first time Tony and Hunter decided to split ways and I stayed with Vermeer Motorsports, it was ugly. I mean, it got really ugly there for a while.
Between you, your sister,
Yeah,
your
Hunter,
brother-in-law.
yeah. I mean, horrible for my parents. Like, they're not ever going to pick sides. Like,
Mhm.
there's not sides to pick. I don't feel like. But it puts them in a really hard spot where they call my sister and Hunter, I'm so sorry. Hunter lost his ride. They don't have a job. Now they're worried about income for their kids. And then they're calling me like, you're going on the road by yourself for the first time ever. You've always kind of had Hunter as, someone to lean on. Now you're by yourself, and I have 48 hours to figure out how to go implement a new driver and go run Ohio Speed Week 9 nights in a row. And just like, man, it was brutal times there for a little bit. And I don't know. I mean, that's life, right? Everyone goes through a lot harder shit than we go through.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not going to, over complain about it, but yeah, it's really, being on the road is really hard at times.
Well, so you're and I diverted you big time from the next kind of house and guest room you move into. Although I sort of feel like the Savannah house is a little bit more just like you're a roommate, you're paying rent. That, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if that falls under the same. But before we get completely away from Hunter and Jess, the last thing I want to ask you is the overall reaching point of this show is to say, and like I told you at lunch, you didn't probably live in that house forever, for however long you lived with Hunter and Jess. I don't imagine you sat there with Hunter every minute of every day you guys were at home and only talked about the race car.
No.
You got to watch your brother-in-law, you got to watch your sister, how they lived. I'm guessing Whelan was born while you were
I got to
living
watch them raise their first kid.
Their first kid.
Part of that.
Deal with money troubles. Not troubles, but just deal with money issues. Deal with being in a marriage. What did you learn? Does something stand out? I know this is right on the spot, kind of a big question, but like surely you picked up something from that time living with your family and you've carried that with you. Does something come to mind that today at 30 years old that you enact or you act on and you go, I remember watching Hunter and Jess do this?
Yeah, so I feel like they have been successful in life, and not necessarily saying that in like a monetary standpoint or like, anything, just the overall scheme of life. But within that success, someone from the outside could look at it and be like, yeah, they've done well. It's been fairly easy. But I look at it from the inside and I'm like, man, no one, especially them who seem successful, goes without hardships and they're never comfortable in life, but you have to be willing to push through those uncomfortable moments and the uncertainty of what's next or what's going to happen, and have faith along the way. Faith is like where I'm going with all this, but like have faith along the way that life's going to be okay. And you surround yourself with those people and you find a way. And as long as you have your faith, then you have what you need in life. And so, like Hunter, he taught me, so much about that. He was not afraid to have some of those uncomfortable conversations that I didn't want to have, where, we talk about some of that stuff and the hardships in life and, how he got through some of the stuff that I was going through, because he had done it all, 5 years before me or more even.
Talking about moving out to Indy and being on
just
his own.
the whole process of what I was going through.
Yeah.
And don't be scared to take the chance. Hunter takes a lot of chances in life, whether he started his own sprint car team out of his own pocket that he never had done before, and also started buying and selling classic trucks at the same time, and just like completely, bought into this, but had faith in himself, had faith in God to provide what he needed. All at the same time as just raising a newborn. So like you can put so much on your plate, but yeah, ultimately, I think they taught me how to be brave, how to give to others, even when sometimes you feel like you just need to take for yourself because you're struggling, and ultimately just be a good person. Yeah. So that's what I take away from that first house. And then like the personal side of it is just me getting to be there when Whelan was born. I mean, the day he was born, they bring him home. They're exhausted. I stay up till 4 a.m, rocking them in the rocking chair so they can get some sleep. And like Whelan and I are so close. He's one of my best friends, and obviously would do anything in the world for him. But like that stems from I mean, at least a year. I feel like every day I'm there. Hunter and I would take him to the shop, and I don't have race cars necessarily to work on, so I'm watching Whelan while Hunter's working on race cars, or I'm working on Hunter's race cars while he's watching Whelan. Like that part of it, I would never, ever, ever trade for anything. Getting to be like that close with them and Whelan, and getting to experience that part of life.
I mean, that's what I think, so much of gets overlooked is like you end up in these situations, whether it's on a race team or whether it's with a crew guy or a car owner or your family in their home, crashing with them. And then you're living life with them. And then you're all of a sudden in these moments that have nothing to do with driving race cars. And you get to experience some of the highest and some of the lowest moments in these people's lives. And you get to experience it all because, this thing we do with these race cars that have wings on the top of them and 4 wheels and giant engines and you're going from dirt track to small town to small town. And, I don't know what the message is here, but it's like, how blessed are we to be involved in this sport that puts you in these moments with these people's lives? Because you're not just racing with Hunter. You're not just, racing with these people. You're living with them.
Yeah.
I think that's crazy. And I just, your stories are obviously why I wanted you to be a part of this. And I'm learning a ton that, I had no idea. I mean, I'm just like, oh, he's close with Whelan because it's his, I don't know what the relationship is.
Uncle. He's my nephew.
Yeah. So, I mean, for you to just be like, yeah, he's my nephew. But no, I mean, for you to do what you did and sit up with him and make it so that your sister could sleep and Hunter could get some rest, like that's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think most people don't know that, right? Like, literally every day for that first year at least until, they had moved, which was a little after a year old, I think. Yeah, he's either I'm staying up at night with him because I don't have a real job, I'm just racing, or I'm in the shop watching him while Hunter works. Like, we were together almost more than he was with his own parents, like collectively. So, it was cool. I mean, that's the side of life that I think makes all this so cool.
Yeah, I agree. That's the point, is that it's just cool.
Yeah,
there doesn't have to be some bigger meaning to it. It's just we're blessed, right?
Yeah. Super.
So you move from Hunter and Jess's, which again, I get it. You're like, I don't want to just be like, all right, I'm moving, because that's awkward.
Yeah.
So they end up relocating, and you end up moving in with Savannah Schatz, and you and McDougal get. I mean, that's how I met you. Was attached to the hip of McDougal.
Yeah, I think like it probably is easy to look at Savannah's house from the outside looking in to be like, oh, it's just another place, probably not that big of a deal. But she rented her house to Jason and I insanely cheap. Like,
cool.
Definitely took care of us. She was not covering her bills. She was probably paying more than we were, but that house taught me more than anywhere that I've ever been before.
Wow.
On the fact of, like, long story short for now, like, we partied our asses off. We were freaking rock stars in that house.
I would say from the outside, when you were talking about what it looks like from the outside, to me, it looked like a party house is what it looked like.
Well, I mean, yes. So, like, we had Thursday parties every Thursday, and it got to where you didn't have to tell people you're having a party. You didn't have to tell people to show up. They just showed up. And like I said, we lived our rock stars way more than we should have. I would sit here and say it for sure hurt my racing career. Like, I wish I would have had someone be like, you are stupid, get your shit together. And, maybe I wouldn't be sitting here today. But, I also probably wouldn't trade everything that happened there and everything that I've learned, post that and realized, because I could go on for hours about the stories of stuff that happened in that house and how much fun it was and had heartbreak in that house and like just the ups and downs. But I got to do it with Jason and Savannah, who I will be friends with the rest of my life, and wouldn't change any of that, no matter how many stupid things we did or didn't do. And, it was awesome.
Well, it sounds like to me the Savannah and Jason house ends up being your equivalent of going to a real college.
Yeah. Yep. That's a great way to put it. It was. I mean, I said, the theme of that house was party like rock stars and have so much fun. But the relationships that we built through that time is what I take away from it. And, I kind of a funny story, I guess, but like I met Logan Seavey kind of around that time, and he started coming to the parties and got to be friends with Logan. But I hated Logan for a while. Like,
I think I knew that.
yeah, I say like I hated him. I guess I didn't hate him. He was really good. And we had like the opportunity to maybe drive some of the same race cars a couple different times, and he always got the freaking ride and I didn't. I'm like, this guy's not even that good. And then he would show up and beat me, and I'm like, he's a bitch. Like, he got lucky this time. And then you say you hang out with him, and he's like, why is that freaking guy here? Like, I don't want to hang out with him. And like, well, damn, he's really cool. I'd say, actually, that's pretty badass.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we build a relationship, and then kind of go to the next probably favor of a house. COVID hits.
Mm-hmm.
And right before COVID, I had been running sprint cars, doing well. Still kind of had that same basis of friend groups and all that. And then Andy Reinbold had just started coming into the sprint car world out here in Indiana. And COVID hits, and I'm supposed to be moving up north to RMS, the midget team.
Dave Estep.
Yep, Dave and Matt Estep, Joe Kojin, working for them. And COVID hits, and all of a sudden there's no racing. And it's like, they're like, well, we don't really need you up here. Our shop's not quite done anyways. We don't have a spot for you, whatever. And Andy Reinbold opens up his house to myself, like, hey, I have this house here. Like, we're obviously not in it right now, whatever. You want to crash at my house as long as you need. I mean, was just completely wide open to.
Did you have a relationship with him?
Not hardly. I mean, a small relationship, but really no. His relationship was with Hunter, and him and Hunter had gotten pretty close. I had met Andy a couple times, stayed at his house in Arizona once or twice, just random stuff. But yeah, he, without really knowing who I was, other than this is some 24-year-old, 23-year-old kid, and yeah, go stay in my house.
That's crazy.
And yeah, without that, that's another time I would have had to move back home 100%. Like, I didn't have a job out here. I was only racing, which is dumb. Anyone that's listening to this that's trying to make it out here, get a job. You have time. You're not so busy racing that you can't go get a second job and create income.
So I'm taken back now at this point around COVID, because I believe it was probably the 2020 Chili Bowl, so a month and a half maybe before COVID blows up, that I get to go out to my first Chili Bowl, and I ride out there with you and Justin Grant.
Yeah.
Because Justin was driving for Rick Young and Jeff Taylor, and I think you were in a car for them as well.
Yep.
And you were helping Justin with his program, and so, because Justin was chasing the USAC National Championship in that car, and you guys were just, again, Jeff Taylor, I think, is the connecting force in all of this, because whether it was I think it was like his engine and Rick's car or whatever, right? It's Rams Racing, and it's you and Justin, and I get to hop in the toter and go out there with you guys. And I remember having this super real moment with you, and I hardly know you at this point, right? I probably met you through hanging out with Chris Wheeler and Justin Grant, and you're driving the toter out to, this might have been on the way home from Chili Bowl, because Justin flew back. I don't think he flew back.
Maybe.
I think that was maybe the year his father-in-law died.
Yeah, that would have been like the year or two after. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I think you're right.
I just remember he wasn't there.
Yeah.
And you and I took the toter home.
Yes.
And when I say you and I mean I rode, and you did everything. That was the trip it pulled over on the side of the road and quit running.
Yeah.
And we had I have a photo on my old iPhone of you, like, with the hood up on this thing. And I'm just thinking to myself, how does this guy know anything about diesel mechanics?
I didn't.
What's he looking for right now? But on that drive, I think it was, I can't remember if it was to Tulsa or back.
I think I know where you're going with this, and it was to Tulsa.
I think so too. And we're on our way to Tulsa, and again, it doesn't matter which direction we're going, but you and I are up in the front, Justin's in the back sleeping, or building shocks, or God knows what. And you are having a real discussion with me about just the lifestyle of a dirt racer. And you said something to me that has stuck with me forever. And it was, at this point in your life and at this point in your career, you told me a story about how, man, if we get rained out and I don't have the chance to go even make, start money by qualifying for a feature, the next week I will usually stay up late enough so I sleep past breakfast and into lunch. So I'm only eating 2 meals a day.
Yeah, it was having to sleep eat 3 through lunch. Sleep through lunch, so I don't have to pay to eat lunch, and then you just eat dinner.
And that was insane to hear.
Such the wrong mindset to have. At the time, it was the truth, but such the wrong mindset to have looking back on it now. My mindset should have been, well, I'm going to freaking wake up at 6 o'clock and go to a job from 6 to 3, 6 to 4, whatever it was, and make some money so I can eat and do all that. But yeah, like that was kind of within my like lazy mentality, party like a rock star, all that. Like, but yeah, I mean, that was the truth then.
Well, and I think I was relating with you because, I was just getting, I'd been announcing some other stuff, but I was trying to get into the dirt world. And I'm like, no, dude, I get it. Like, I think you kind of told me that story because I was probably giving you, oh, yeah, dude, it's tough sometimes. Like, if I haven't announced for a few weeks, because that's all I was doing, that's all I do. If I wasn't announcing, I might not have, I think I was telling you a story about when I was living in Charlotte trying to chase like stock cars and short track opportunities there. I said, I was paying $500 a month for a room, and I didn't have any money for groceries some weeks, so I would just go and make a hot sauce sandwich, which was a slice of bread with hot sauce dabbed all over it, fold that up, and I'd have 1 or 2 of those, and that was lunch a lot of days. And you were like, let me tell you tell you some real shit right now.
Yeah.
And you told me that, and God, if I remember right, you saw me, we stopped on the way out there to Tulsa. I remember this vividly because I can still feel my thumb throbbing. We stopped at a truck stop Subway, and you saw me pull out a bag of loose change that I had brought on the road with me because I hadn't made any money all winter from the off season of no race announcing. And I was going to go in and pay for my Subway with like literally loose change because that's all I had on me. You bought my Subway, and that's probably how we got into that discussion. And I just remember getting into that back of that tow room, and I had my thumb in the wrong spot, and I shut the door on my own thumb. And I tore my thumb apart. And
wow.
I
don't think I knew that part.
Oh, you absolutely did because I bitched about it for the whole. I mean, we had like 6 more hours of driving.
Yeah.
And I remember just like holding my like hand out because it hurt so bad for anything. I think I slept on the floor of that toter that night with my like hand in the air because it hurt so bad. But yeah, you even in a spot in your life where you didn't have the means to really help yourself, you helped me.
But that's and I mean that kind of goes back to my sister and Hunter and just. I think trying to be a good person is at that time, maybe I had a little extra money that, sure, can you save it? Yeah, whatever. But I also knew I'm going to Chili Bowl. I'm going to make a little money doing that. I'm on at that time, I think Racing Boys broadcast, but I'm going to make like, I can buy this guy a sandwich. No problem. Like we didn't really know each other.
No, we did not.
I struggled. I know what it's like to struggle. And so if I can help someone not struggle, I'm your guy. Like,
I mean,
let's help out.
It was one of those things where like age means a lot less to you as you get older, but like I'm 32, you're 30. So back then, I'm probably, 27, you're 25, whatever the ages were, I don't remember. It doesn't matter. But I was just like, wow, really cool of this guy. He doesn't know me, but that's like, wow, I asked 5 minutes ago, does Andy Reinbold even know you? When you're like, yeah, he's just letting me move into his house during this world pandemic.
Right.
He doesn't know if you're going to go in there and loot his shit.
No.
Or what you're going to do to it. And again, I think that just comes down to you being a guy that people can get a pretty quick read on and go, yeah, I can probably trust this guy with my kids' race cars in my house to ride across the country with in a truck, whatever.
Sing country songs. That's what we were doing.
You introduced me, I think that was the trip home that you were like, we'd just been listening to music forever and you get sick of that after a while. And you just said, you like podcasts? And I said, I don't know. I'll probably never start one and it'll be really, pointless or anything. And you said, have you ever heard of Call Her Daddy?
Yeah.
And we listened to like 3 hours, I think, of Call Her Daddy. Yeah. And I was like, I never thought I'd listen to this. But I remember you put it in and we didn't speak for those next 3 hours because we were just glued to what those chicks were.
It was crazy. I remember it had to be almost around that exact same time. I knew the Carrick family and Tanner Carrick would be the son, the racer. Dave Carrick was the dad. And they had he was driving for Keith Coons. They had a bus out here and they was like, I need my bus back in California. I'm like, all right, yeah, I ain't got nothing going on. I'll do it. And so I'm driving. All of a sudden there's like Call Her Daddy podcast. That's freaking weird. But I didn't even hardly know what a podcast was. I turned the first episode. I'm like, this is crazy. There's no way that these two girls are sitting here talking about this shit.
The content was aggressive.
And I'm like, oh my. And then, 5 hours later, I'm still listening, like mind blown. I'm like, what is going, this is not real life. And it was awesome.
I think that's the effect your stories in this show are going to have on people who listen to it on the road, wherever they're going.
Hopefully.
Dude, I mean, you've got some awesome stuff and I am really grateful you're sitting here talking to me about it. So, and I don't want to skip too far ahead, but I know in talking to you about this beforehand.
Before you go.
Yeah.
So you'd brought up like that Chili Bowl and just another weird thing in life, right? And we talk about generosity. So I was at PRI that year, walking around, had no reason to be there, just walking around because that's what you do when PRI is in town. And I'm walking around and I don't even remember who I walked into. It had to be, So I walked into, I saw Davey step. But earlier that summer, this is funny. T-Mez and I are in a heated championship battle at Gas City in the sprint cars. T-Mez is got some shit going on, not allowed to leave the state. We'll leave it at that. And so he was driving a midget for Dave and Matt Estep, and they had just got a new engine in their national midget and just got a Badger midget, which is like a second series in Illinois, whatever. And like, we want to go, we want to go race this before we have like some big races coming up. Thomas can't do it. Who should we put in? Thomas said, well, the guy's kind of kicking my ass down here in the sprint car. Like he's pretty good. Put him in it.
That's cool.
And so, yeah, super cool. So I go run that weekend for him. Sad part of this story. I'm leading the Power I race at Jacksonville, spin out coming to the white flag all on my own. Like Dave and all them didn't even see it because they had already gotten out of the grandstand to start walking to the front stretch. I spin out. Line. Yeah. Terrible deal. But all right, yeah, I'm never going to drive for them again. Blew that chance. And then at PRI, I see them. They're like, you want to run the Dome? This is when Dome had midgets.
Yep.
I'm like, I would love to. They're like, we don't have an engine, though. Like, you got to find an engine to put in the car. We just have the one. But we'll provide the car if you provide the engine.
Okay.
All right, I'll figure it out. Rick Young, Jeff Taylor. Hey, guys, I have this deal. Do you care? Like, can I borrow an engine? Like, I know Justin has a couple with the program you were talking about. And yeah, no problem. Go ahead. I'm like, that's crazy. And then so the Dome goes well. I start last in the feature, get up to fourth. Ricky Stenhouse, I'll say he crashes me, like kind of what it looks like on video, but whatever. Racing deal, we crash. Nope, they're definitely done. They're not hiring me. No way. Like saying that was for the E-Steps again.
Yeah.
Crash her car twice. Don't run good. And then we go race the Chili Bowl, which you're talking about. I'm running third and run into the back of David Gravel, spin out, and running as good as I had ever at Chili Bowl. I'm like, wow, these guys really, nope. After all that, they still hire me. And so I was like, on the chance that Rick and Jeff helped me, and Justin. Justin was a big part of that. Like Justin's a big part of this whole story that I haven't, like, he's just been a big part of my life. But yeah, out of nowhere, here's a midget engine. Go. We don't know these other guys. Just go put it in their car, have fun,
right?
Whatever. And it's like so insane that this world we live in, how much people have helped me. So that's why it makes it easy for me to buy you a sandwich or whatever. I'd buy you a lot more than a sandwich if I needed to. But
I appreciate that. These days I eat a lot more than one sandwich. But I mean, that's what it's about, dude, is like you learn through your own experiences that the only way you've gotten to where you're at, and this is back in like, we're talking like 2020, 2019. The only way you'd gotten there was through the generosity of people. Yeah. So at least you're socially aware enough to go, well, I should probably keep this going down the line for other people. Yeah.
And every step of the way through this, like, we talk about everything happens for a reason. Like I'm religious. I mean, I believe that everything, there's a plan bigger than we all realize, and everything happens for a reason. And that all happening and me leading up to driving for RMS, I think is like a key player into how I get to where I'm at today. And that's why I wanted to like mention that, because my 1 year that I spent with RMS it's a pretty wild year, especially the ending. It kind of goes out with a big boom. And yeah.
Well, I mean, so in you set up the transition. You should probably be hosting the show, not me. You set the transition up so well, because in talking to you about this, when I pitched this idea to you, hey, would you ever want to sit down and do this with me and talk about some of your stories? You were like, oh man, I lived in a closet at RMS.
Yeah.
And I just got done doing one of these with Levi, and he lived at Jeff Walker's, and I think he stayed upstairs in the loft at Scott Bennick's shop, and he has a famous story about he had sprint car wings as his walls, for his like double, his like twin bed he had up there and everything, and his alarm every morning was the guy that Bennick had coming in to weld Nerf bars and put stuff together. He'd come in at 5:30 in the morning, and that's when Levi would get,
my gosh,
because there's no walls keeping the loft separate from the shop floor, so that's how he would get woken up in the morning. You end up going up north. Up here in northern Indiana, where RMS is based out of. You're driving for them by this point, it sounds like. And so was this a little bit of like a little carryover from that opportunity that they were going to bring you up for when COVID happened?
Yeah,
to
definitely.
Work for them?
So I talked to Dave at that Chili Bowl that I ran, and I think this all maybe played out a bit different than I thought in the moment, like looking back on it. But I talked to Dave. Dave's like, oh yeah, we're going to get rid of Thomas. Or I don't know that he necessarily they were going to get rid of Thomas. They were just maybe having some issues with Thomas, kind of all the legal stuff, like they couldn't race the way they wanted to, whatever. And so like, you're our guy, like you're fast, you'll figure it out. Eventually you'll finish races and we'll be good. So then, COVID hits in February, March, and all of a sudden we have nothing going on. And I'm like pressuring them, like, hey guys, like I'm bumming a couch at this guy's house. Like I can be here, but I'd really love to be up there. And they're like, our shop's not quite ready yet. We're moving shops, this and that. And so I get there and I show up and Dave knows I'm coming, but I hadn't talked to anyone else. Everyone else was like, the frick, this guy's walking in with a suitcase
Roller
and
bag.
clothes and like, the heck's he doing here? And Dave's like, oh, come on, I'll show you your room. And so it's like a nice shop. The layout's a bit goofy. So like we walk through what would be like the wash and tie room, then through the shop, down a hallway, like here's office, bathroom, and there's one door on the end. And again, like, all right, here's your bedroom. And this is big compared to it. I couldn't really, I showed up with a bed frame and everything. Like I came prepared, and like it was a queen bed and did not fit in the room. And so the bed, I got it in there, but it took up the entire space of the room. Like there was the room was my bed.
You actually got the bed frame in there?
Yes. Yeah. So it is a little bigger than a closet, but yeah, it might
as well have been.
It was just like, I think a storage room on the end, essentially. And they turned it in. And I'm like, well, okay, yeah, where's bathroom? There's no shower. Huh.
Right.
Interesting. This would be cool.
Yeah.
And so Dave's like, oh, I got it. They sell these like stand-up shower things. And so later that day, Dave's installing it's basically you put a pad on the ground and run a water line to the top that runs down on you, and you have a curtain that goes around you, and that was my shower. And it was in like the shop bathroom. It wasn't even like a private area bathroom, but you could tell like Dave's kind of figuring all this shit out, and I don't think he told everyone like he had hired me, or maybe he had the authority. I mean, he runs the team, but and they kept Thomas, weren't getting rid of Thomas.
Right.
And so I was like, well, now we got to build 2 drivers worth of cars.
Yep.
And just get to work. Okay. So yeah, every morning I wanted to be the first guy awake, like show that I'm thankful. So I would make sure I'm awake, everything's clean, vacuum every rug every morning. So when they walk in, it's got nice little perfect stripes on it and fresh start to the day. And we built, I think 6 or 7 midgets for Thomas and I to race, and then took out, COVID year. First race was down at Port City in late March, early April, I think, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was later, I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of how that all started.
Well, it probably would have been really easy. You said you wanted to be the first guy. You said awake, but I imagine you're probably the only person sleeping at the shop.
Definitely.
So it's probably real easy to be the first one there.
Yeah. So, but it's also a fab shop. So EnviroFab that was on the side of our race cars. Joe owns that. His shop was just kind of, there's 2 double doors that separate the 2 sides of the big shop. And so his guys were there pretty early. They get an early start, like normal hardworking guys.
Yeah.
And then Dave works for, it's RMS is Response Management Services. And that's like train derailment cleanup. So Dave could be up all night and you don't know it. Like he's on call all the time. And in that Chicago area, which is where we lived, there's massive train stations. Mm-hmm. So basically every day there's something that Dave's got going on where he's up doing this, going and doing that, which was really cool because during that time, during COVID, they were approved to do, it was called COVID decon, where basically if a train worker shows up to work, test positive for COVID, they empty out the entire place, and then we got to go in and spray it with these chemicals and
sanitize it, essentially.
Sanitize it,
make it safe for people to go back.
Yeah. So I was doing a lot more than just working on race cars at that time.
You worked for the actual.
I was saving people's lives, Tony. Absolutely saving this entire country by not spreading COVID.
By one train station at a time.
Yes.
You kept our country.
One locker room at a time. We got them clean, got them sanitized, and the world goes on.
We're back to work because of Clinton Boyles in 2025.
Yep. Just trying to earn a buck, man. But anything I can do. I put in fence post at this person. I'm not going to say like who. It's no one anyone would know, but like I went with Dave. He was doing a favor for someone and went and put fence post in this person's house because I'm thankful for the opportunity. And Dave said, "Hey, today we're putting in fence post." All right, let's do it.
They wanted fence posts inside their home?
No, outside. Like they're putting. Like I basically put a fence up for this person.
I was like, was this someone who was really worried about COVID and thought like my family members aren't masking up?
I think it was for a dog or something. But I was like, man, I thought I was going to be, working on race cars and get to go drive midgets, and this is going to be great. And here I am pounding fence posts in the ground and digging holes just to have a ride.
But making money and probably being able to eat.
Dude, yeah. So that was the first time I actually had like money because, dude, thank God for them. They paid me $400 a week to work full time in the shop and then got my percentage from racing. And I thought I was rich. I'd made it, man. I was freaking living right. I'm on salary and I'm getting percent
$400 a week and then percentage from what you made with the car.
From the 29 midget races we ran that year during COVID. Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to if you don't want to, but was it a good percentage? Was it a...
So, I mean, yeah, I guess I'll say it. It was 100%.
Of what the car made?
Yeah. But
that's a good percentage, Clinton.
Yeah, 100% of midget racing earnings is not
still
not that. It was like equaled out to be the same as like what my sprint car was at 40%.
I don't know if Brad Sweet was making 100% of what the car made.
Dude, that's why I say God bless those guys because I did not know how good I had it, and we'll get to this part, but I took it for granted so hard, and that's like if I have one regret in racing, it is how I went into that deal with the right intentions, right mindset, and very quickly like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like I'm running okay. I'm making good money, this and that, and got so relaxed. And it was just completely the wrong mentality. And just, I'm not going to say I messed it up because I think it propelled me to be where I am and a better person. And I learned so much from it. Thank God. But boy, did I screw that 1 year up.
But I mean, yeah, the term messed it up or I screwed it up or I threw it away. Like, can you ever really say that? Because as long as you learn something, you know, there's all those cliches. It's not a failure if you learn something.
Yeah. And
again, I was just scrolling Instagram either last night or this morning, and you know, there's some motivational podcast like this is probably going to become. And you know, they're just like nobody I ever knew who's successful ever learned anything from success.
Right.
You learned from the failure.
Yeah.
And I really do. I do believe that all the way down to the bone that if people would just simply look at their failures or their missed, you know, not missed opportunities, it's when you have an opportunity and you drop the ball, what did you learn? Yeah. And it sounds like, and I'd invite you to, you know, kind of tell me what it was. You learned a lot, it sounds like, from your failures, and you say you look back on that year and you didn't handle it correctly.
Yeah.
But you learned from it, obviously, so it wasn't a complete loss. What did you learn? What is something that today, in going into 2026, you wake up and go, I can't do that again. I cannot live like I did in 2020.
The biggest thing is just never take anything for granted. As soon as you think you got it figured out or you got it right, it'll get swiped away from you so fast. Sorry about that. But yeah, just never take anything for granted and work hard. That was definitely the time. Like I felt like I was working hard, but I wasn't working hard as everyone else was. And I felt like I let those guys down. And you could go back and look at the results from that year in the midget and be like, dang, your first year in a midget, like you ran pretty good. And those were stout fields, but I could have ran better for sure. If I had the right mentality, if I would have put in the work, if I would have worked harder with my crew chief, Donnie Gentry, Bill Gass, you know, I even had Davy Jones for a little bit. Like I could have really, really done well. And they provided every resource, every opportunity to go succeed. And I dropped the ball on it. The flip side of that, I learned don't be afraid to fail because at that time I failed when we go to California, and I don't know if we need to, we can go into it. I certainly don't care. But like the firework incident happens, I get flew home and I'm like, oh my gosh, my life's over. Like sprint car season's done and over. I kind of already got out of the 57 deal. I don't have a chili bowl ride. I don't have any ride at all. I am probably getting kicked out of the shop when these guys get back from California. What do? I have no income. I'm like, what? Like life hit fast right then.
Well, for what it's worth, I appreciate you, at least acknowledging it. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I do think my goal is for a lot of people to consume this who have, who don't know Clinton Boyles and they don't know what you're talking about.
It's a big part of my life. I have no, at this point in my life, I don't regret what happened because I've, figured it out and learned a lot of things. But essentially, we're all in California for the West Coast swing, and things are going great.
This is the end of 2020.
Yeah, it's 2021.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you sure it's 21? Because that was my year with USAC. I don't think this happened in 21.
No, then it would have been 2020.
What car were you driving? Was it Dave and Matt's?
Yeah.
The midget?
The midget. It was the year you came with us for that little midget week deal and made a video.
Yeah, when I was doing videos for you. Yeah, that would have been 20.
Okay. Yeah. So 2020. We get to the West Coast swing at the end of the year. And it started off rough. Like I say rough. Yeah, I started off kind of rough. And then that was in Arizona. We get to California. And, we run Bakersfield. And Chris Wyndham, who had like become friends with a little bit because Savannah was out there with me in California. Her and Georgia Henneberry are best friends.
Mhm.
And so Georgia and Chris are dating. And so kind of we're all hanging out, whatever. And Chris wins, like locks up his Triple Crown championship that night at Bakersfield by winning the midget championship. High drama, spun out Ricky Stenhouse to do it, but he won, right?
Yeah.
And so let's freaking party. We got a couple of days off before we got to be at Merced. Like, let's go to town. So I load up my backpack that I have with drinks out of the race rig that was going to stay at the track. We go back to the Holiday Inn Express in Bakersfield, and no one's ever been there, I'm sure, that's listening, but basically there's a big truck parking lot, and everyone just lines your rigs up in a row, kind of out in a field, a pretty big field. And on the very end was Ethan Mitchell, Bundy's trailer. We're partying there, and then to the other direction, like at the time, never paid attention to it, but it was like KKM, Trucks and Trailers, Keith Kuhn stuff, whatever.
Yeah. The
And
premier team, pretty much for a very long
yes.
time.
Yeah, without a doubt.
In USAC midgets there.
Especially that time.
I'm just trying to give context for people who maybe don't get it. When you say the KKM trucks are parked over there, that's like you're a small NASCAR team, and next door is the Hendrick, or the Gibbs trucks.
Yeah.
So this is an important setup over there.
Yeah, with their drivers, dads, motorhomes, and things all sitting there. Also important to point out. And so basically we're partying. We drink through the drinks that are in my backpack, and I get to the bottom of them. And I'd been in Missouri that year at Sweet Springs for 4th of July. And some friends of mine had given me some fireworks there, and they're half sticks of dynamite. Like oh God, it's not a small firework. Like it's legit. And so we get to the bottom of the backpack, and I'm like, oh frick yeah, let's light off a firework. This is gonna be badass. And it's late. I couldn't tell you what time. I'm gonna guess 1, 2 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And shoot, there's 25 of us out there. It's not like it's just a small party. And I light off one of those fireworks and throw it out in the field, the opposite direction of all the trucks and trailers. And it goes off, and everyone's like, holy shit. Like, that's not a normal firework. And Bakersfield's kind of a sketchy part of town, whatever it may be. So, yeah, definitely big enough. I'm sure it woke up everyone that was camping out there, whatever. And this is where things get a little bit jaded because no one, I don't feel like maybe realized this at the time, but Savannah had locked the lighter that I had to light the firework in the toolbox and was mad at me and went inside. She was like, that's so stupid. Like, you don't need to be doing that. She was right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Girls are usually right. And so I follow her inside, and then they get in my backpack that I left out there, and there's another firework, but they can't light it because there's no lighter. So they go up in the truck and light it with the cigarette lighter. Don't have the passenger door open, only have the driver's door open, toss it out the driver's door between Leighton Crouch's bus and Ethan Mitchell's bus that, everyone was partying in. Blows up between the two buses, I guess. And I'm sure that felt like it was going to flip over Leighton's bus. And so he came out, guns a-blazing, like full, what the frick is going on out here?
Well, he's Texan, so he very well might have had guns blazing.
Well, he has guns. I'll get to that point. And so, he's just protecting his family, right? Like doing what he should do as a dad in that moment. And comes out, party's over. I don't know about any of this
because I'm inside. You followed Savannah inside the hotel.
Yeah. And so the next morning, I wake up at like 9:30, and I have 15 missed phone calls. I mean, USAC's calling me, Dave Estep's calling me, the other guys on the team are calling me. Like, what the heck is going on? I called Dave back first. He's like, hey, I got some bad news. USAC got a hold of me. They're not happy about the firework incident that happened last night, and they're saying I need to, punish you for doing it, and so I got to send you home. And he's like, I'm just going to fly you home, and we'll deal with it when we get back. And I'm not in a position to argue. Like, obviously, I knew I lit the firework. I threw it in the field. It's tough, but yeah, it probably was stupid. Like, Savannah was mad for a reason. So, I don't say anything. He's like, Keith is the one that brought it to USAC's attention. Maybe go talk to him. They're out there working at the hotel still. And we'll sort it out. So I walk outside and go find Keith and like, hey, Keith, man, I'm sorry for what happened last night. Like, that's, not me. I know that there's a line and I crossed it. He's like, I don't really care is that it wasn't me. It was Leighton that's upset. I mean, it was right by his motorhome, whatever. And I don't know Leighton at all. Never met the guy. And so I go knock on his motorhome door to apologize to him. And he opens the door. He says, "Come on in." And
your heart's got to be pounding.
Dude, racing. I mean, like insanely. Yeah. And so I walk up the steps and my stomach is in knots. And I look to my left. And right as you walk up the steps, right over the step wall to the left was like a kitchen table inside his bus. And there was 12 guns laid out on the table. And you're just like, oh, wow. And Brenham's over in the corner doing his homework, he's just like trying not to look, poor guy. And Leighton's like, "Hey man, I get we like to party. Everyone wants to have fun. I've done it myself. I've taken it too far. We can't be doing, this and that, whatever." And I said, "I totally get it. My parents raised me better. Like, it was dumb." I'm in tears at this point, like crying and just like apologizing. I did feel bad. And so long story short, on that end, like we apologized, whatever. He's like, "Yep, I'll see you at Merced." I'm like, "No, I'm getting sent home." And at that moment, he was like, "Oh," he's like, I don't, that's not what I wanted, but deal was done, whatever. So I get a rental car, drive to Vegas, fly home. And then, that's pretty much that. It was later on, come to find out that all that other stuff happened that I didn't know about. And so at that point, it was too late to change anything or whatever. Still doesn't do any good to call out any names or whatever. But yeah, that got me out of the midget stuff, and that kind of propelled me into the crew guy side of things shortly after that.
Wow. So, I mean, that is far from a couch or a guest room you ever stayed in, but that has to certainly be in your catalog one of the most pivotal moments, certainly in your career, and it obviously had to have an effect on you personally.
Yeah, it did. I mean, just super, you feel so dumb in front of everybody, right? Not long after that, we all have to go to Chili Bowl, and luckily, so Justin Grant came in to RMS and took my spot there. And so we basically swapped rides, and I went to Rams with Rick and Jeff. And so thankful that they picked me up. And we went to Chili Bowl and had a good year at Chili Bowl there. But you walk around the building, you're like, dude, everyone's staring at me like I'm that idiot that literally lost this phenomenal ride, was so dumb, tough deal. And like Leighton and Jay Drake, Keith too, like they wanted to be super supportive. And I feel like I should point that out because it wasn't like they were doing all this, like, get rid of this kid, whatever. Like, they were very supportive in the whole grand scheme of things. So, like, we just can't be doing some of this stuff. And they were 100% right. But, yeah, that all happens, and I get picked up with Rick and Jeff, and that was very short-lived. Like, I had AJ Parker with me working. And
because that was the Chili Bowl, you had Parker Price Miller.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. Nick Hoffman ran with you guys.
And me.
Yeah, and you and why am I blanking on her name?
Presley?
Yeah, Presley ran.
Yep.
Right.
Presley was with us. Yeah. And so I moved back to Savannah's house after that. I had to leave where we were with the RMS midget team. And so moved back into Savannah's house, which was cool. Like, thankful that she let me move back into there. And I think at that time, actually, she had sold it, and Lee Dacus owned it. He's from Canada.
Yeah.
So
I remember, I actually met Lee. He had a shop here in Brownsburg, didn't he?
Yes. Yep.
I remember being in there one night with Wheeler and Brooke and Casey.
Yeah.
And they're just like, this guy's from Canada, and he doesn't even live here half the year, and this is just all of his stuff. Isn't this crazy? And I'm just like,
it is crazy. Yeah. So Lee let me move back into the house, which was super cool. And so Rick and Jeff were like, all right, go run Chili Bowl. Run Chili Bowl goes good. All right, go run outdoors. And I thought I'd hit pretty well rock bottom with the firework incident, all that, right? And we go to, AJ and I take the rig, and we go to Missouri. And we showed up, met Rick that day, and when we met him, I don't know, we showed him everything or whatever. And later that day, he was like, I don't think we locked the storage cabinets on the bottom side of the toter. Can you go back by and lock them? Like, yeah, totally. And I told him I will. And then I was with my family that night at some other family members' houses, whatever. We ended up not leaving there till like 1:32 in the morning. It was late. And I'm like, I'll just wake up early, go lock that stuff. No big deal. Well, Rick had woken up earlier and went and checked. And went through the trailer and like pointed out that there's dust on the axles on the wall and there's dust on the countertop and just stuff needs to be taken care of a little better. And then all of a sudden I didn't go lock the lower cabinets. And Rick's like, well, you just screwed up this deal over here. And now you're here, as simple as I asked you to lock the doors, and you can't even come do that for me. Why am I going to leave you with my entire race team and trust you to have it? And at the time, I'm like, dude, this is so harsh. But he was right. Like, details matter.
Yeah.
And just proving to everyone that you can be that guy. And so he fired me from that deal.
Wow.
And yeah, I was like, wow, now I've really freaking hit rock bottom. Like, there's just nothing left for me. I'm messing everything up. And at that same time, Hunter was looking for a crew guy to kind of go with him full time.
With Vermeer.
With Vermeer,
Yeah.
yep. I had no job. And so they offered me really good money to come work for them for the rest of the summer and kind of just figure out what I want to do, buy me some time to get a ride, whatever, and go work for them. And that's how I started with Vermeer and working on sprint cars.
So I'm going to be completely honest with you. I knew that you were a driver who was a crew guy and then advanced to a crew chief, and now you're in this position with Kyle Larson Racing. But I never knew that there was some like actual sort of like, backstory to how you get to that spot in your career. Because one of the things that I love about sprint car racing and dirt track racing, and I think a lot of people who know the sport love this part about it, it's that most of you guys, 75, 80% of the pit area at any dirt show out there, those guys work on their cars.
Yeah.
And so it's not uncommon to see a lot of drivers crew when they don't have an opportunity to race or when it's with a series they don't compete in. I mean, Gordy Gundaker came 2 years ago, late model ace, right?
Yeah.
Like one of the best late model drivers out there. And he's grooving tires for Nick Hoffman on Jeff Taylor's Rockwell Security Midget. So where I'm going with this is like, I just always sort of thought, well, Clinton's, maybe not able to find an opportunity or it's just, it's just not working out for him in the racing, competing part of it. So he's crewing, he's crew chiefing. But is it fair to say that a series of bad decisions on your part lead you to a world of, I'm not being trusted with driving opportunities, so I have to compete at the crew level now?
Yeah. No, I mean, I had every opportunity to drive and succeed, and it was never because I was slow. Like, that's never been an issue for me or like lack of performance. It's just, it was the off-track activities that, I couldn't get my shit together enough to excel, right? Like, I needed to look more at Justin Grant and see like how hard he freaking works. Cause I was around him all the time.
Yeah.
I'd go to his shop and help him work almost every day.
Talk about a laser focused guy.
Yeah. And he understood it. And like, not to tell his story, but in 2016, when I was racing sprint cars in Missouri, I was racing against Justin. He was coming to Missouri, driving from Indianapolis to Missouri on a milk crate in the back of Burke and Casey's van just to have a ride, to do something in the middle of having, getting ready to have twins and all that. And then, so he kind of found his spot, but then he's excelled, right? Like he dug his way out of that hole and been phenomenal. And I should have looked more at him, or I should have looked more at guys like Hunter, that they just fight and find a way. And, I didn't. It's on me, and learned a lot through the failures. But like, my driving career ended not because I don't think I was good enough or just, didn't have the ability, but I didn't have the focus and the discipline, I guess, to say, no, guys, I'm going to skip out on this party tonight, or I'm going to go to the gym and work, or I'm going to sit here and study notes and watch film. It was just like that side of things that really was my downfall as a driver, which led me to being a crew guy. But once I got the crew guy opportunity, I think I'd kind of figured it all out and realized like, okay, if I want to be in racing, like I have a really good opportunity here with the 55 team. I need to get my shit together and figure it out. And I felt like for the most part, I pretty well did that. There was still probably some time in there where Hunter was like, dude, come on. Like he is sprint car racing 24/7 nonstop, not worried about anything else. I got to have a little bit of separation to like have my peace, and like, I need to go out to dinner with friends. I need to, do whatever, like get away from racing for a little bit, just so when I come race, I'm re-energized and I'm like ready to do it. But so, yeah, I mean, for the most part, it was good, but that was the turning point for sure. I guess that would have been 2021 year, and just didn't do a good job professionally.
Well, I mean, again, this isn't supposed to be the, Tony Laporta pumps up his friends, hour, but I do think that from how I've known you and what you've done as far as helping me learn the sport and get better at talking about these race cars and understanding what I'm looking at when a car pulls into the work area, you obviously already have such a deep and thorough knowledge of the sport, the driving aspect of it, the working on them aspect. And then you are incredible at articulating that, and not just through a microphone and a camera on Flo, but you can sit with me and go over parts of a car, and I can walk into your pit area when you and Chris Wyndham are chasing a high limit championship in 24, and you can pull me aside and take parts of the engine apart and show me things. And I just now, it means so much more to me, and I'm impressed by your ability to overcome a really, because dude, a lot of people would have those two, moments, the fireworks and getting dropped by Rick Young. A lot of people would have those and they would just instantly go bitter, and they would just go, well, racing's against me and these people don't get me, and Leighton Crouch is a jerk and he doesn't understand me, and you could have completely just gone from racing.
Yeah.
But you chose not to, and I just think that's an incredible sign of maturity personally.
Thank you. Yeah, and that for me, that's the pinnacle of don't burn a bridge in my life, right? Like, it would have been really easy for me to tell Davey Step, you know what, screw you.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of other shit going on that I probably shouldn't be let go from this team. And you're going to let me go over this one thing, like, get out of here, or tell Rick, like, oh yeah, there's some dust on there. Well, you wipe it off, get out of it. Like, but that's not me. I never really felt that way in general. My mindset doesn't work like that to look for the fault in other people. I usually look inward. And so
that's mature.
Yeah. So, but this whole story circles back at different points. Not that we need to touch on every one of them, but those guys helped me out down the road later in life. Like, those guys, if I call them, I know that they will be there for me in an instant in any type of way that I need.
Those guys meaning like the E-Steps,
like
Rick
the
and
E-Steps,
Jeff.
Rick and Jeff.
Yeah. Justin.
Yep. All these people that at some point or another you could say I let down, I did wrong, I embarrassed myself in front of. Even Leighton Crouch, I feel very confident if I called Leighton and said, hey Leighton, I need something here or there, how can I help you? What can I do for you?
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah, so just never burn that bridge. It will never be worth it.
Have you ever told any of this to Brian Brown, and in relation to the fact that he's the one who passed
Not
that?
necessarily, no.
Well, you better show him this interview.
Yeah, no, I haven't. But when Brian Brown told me that at the time, I don't know why it stuck with me.
How old were you when you heard that advice from him?
Probably 20.
I'm just going to say, I don't care what age you are, I mean, especially, 20, 18, your early 20s, your late teens. When someone tells you something like that, it's very easy, and I'm speaking from experience, to just go, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, sure, don't burn. Well, you don't know what I've gone through. You don't know what's going to happen to me. And for you to be able to hear that at 20, and I don't think you've told a story where you've turned around and said, you know what, F you, man, you don't get it.
Yeah.
You've done some stupid stuff, it sounds like, but you've never, like you said, you could have told Davey stuff. Well, you don't know the whole story.
Yeah.
And Rick, you don't understand what I was doing last night. And yada, yada. So I'm just amazed at a 20-year-old's ability to hear that advice from Brian Brown. You could have heard it from anybody. You could have heard it from a guy on the street.
Yeah.
And for you to take it at 20 and just go, okay. And yeah, I'm sure you weren't waking up every day going, I'm not going to burn any bridges.
Yeah.
But for you to just have that way back
there
of your mind.
And even, I mean, you saw it firsthand this year at Lakeside when Xavier and I got together in a crowd. I was so mad. I have not been that mad, I don't think, ever in my life. And I don't know why that moment made me so frustrated. And I ran my mouth like an idiot. The dumbest, I just should have either told you don't talk to me or just said, it's racing, whatever, I'll move on. And then I went to the pit area and yelled at Xavier and his dad and made a freaking clown of myself and felt like an idiot after. And but then I had that moment where you settle down and I just I got to go apologize. But it's not that would ever burn a bridge, but it would have left a bad taste in their mouth about me. Yeah. And I just, that doesn't sit well. Not that I need everyone to like me, but I'll let you create your own, own opinion on me. And I'm not gonna just force feed you yep, I'm an asshole. Just, I don't know, man. It's never sat well with me to burn that bridge, or I've never just not cared about what other people thought about me.
Mhm.
And so if I have the opportunity to make amends, make it right, I will.
Well, I love that perspective of it where you're like, listen, I don't need Xavier Doney and his dad to love me.
Yeah.
But what you looked at it is like, okay, they can form whatever opinion they want about me. If I'm an asshole, I'm an asshole. If I'm a great guy, I'm a great guy. But I'm going to just be my most real self. And when I feel like I was wronged, I'm going to go tell them. And then maybe 30 minutes later, when I've calmed down and I realized I wasn't wronged, it was just a racing incident, you're going to go back and show them your true self, which is a guy who's apologetic. And then you've laid everything out on the table, and then they can decide what image they want to paint of you.
Yeah.
But you're not going to be the one who shows them the wrong version of you, or not the wrong version, but just you're not going to be the one who shows them anything but who you really are,
right? In
good, or maybe in not so good times.
Yep.
That's a good way to look at it, where it's like, hey, I'm going to let you decide what you think of me, but I'm going to give you my most authentic self. And that includes apologizing when I've really stepped on my you-know-what.
Yeah. At the end of the day, like, if I go apologize, I can lay my head down at night knowing I did what I think is right and what I feel like I should do. And if that's not good with you, then that's okay. Like, I'm at peace with myself, and hopefully you understand where I'm coming from and all that, but that's for you to decide.
Yeah, I mean, you can only do what you can do.
Yeah. And
I think you went back and apologized in that situation. I'm like, and you go up to Keith and you go up to Leighton and you apologize.
Yeah.
And you probably ended up with Rick. And then all
that is, I will say, like, saying those apologies, like, apologizing is a hard thing to do, especially, like, I think it's easy to do if you don't actually care. It's easy to walk up and say, oh yeah, I'm sorry, whatever, see ya. But when you actually care, apologizing is like one of the hardest things in the world to do. But forcing yourself to do that and being vulnerable in that moment, like, I think speaks volumes to people. And that's why these people maybe see that from me and, like, realize how genuine I am, that I do care, and, like, are willing to forgive me for some of those things.
And it's a hard thing to do, but it probably feels amazing.
Anyone listening that say, like, give the apology, like, just, it sucks, but just do it, man. It's not worth it to, like, hold that grudge, or, like, if you hold it within yourself, even if you're the mad one, like, it just never works out well.
That's some heavy Brian Brown logic from 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
That has stuck with you.
Yeah.
And he pulled me aside at Eldora, and he told me a little bit about his early days, and essentially told me the same thing of, like, hey, I had this team let me go, and I could have said F you, and you guys don't get it, and I look what I've done for this car. Yeah. And that's how he gets so close with the guys from Casey's.
Yep.
And now you can't think of Brian Brown without thinking of Casey's General Store, where you bought that delicious tasting NOS energy drink.
Down to the old Casey's and got me a NOS.
Right around the street. So now today you own a home in the greater Indianapolis area.
Yeah.
Lebanon. And you don't live there much anymore because you're down in North Carolina running the deal for Kyle. Are you a guest in their home? Are you? So what's the living situation?
Kyle's shop is a barn dominium. Nice. So it has living space there that I live in, kind of the living area there. So yeah, short walk to work every day, down to the shop.
Real short.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I guess probably without saying a whole lot, the kids do homeschooling. They're at the shop a lot. So it's been great to, like, during their recess time or lunchtime, like, you get to play with the kids, and just be around and create that relationship. Kyle's in and out of the shop a lot, checking on things. He's got his own stuff going on there.
Yeah.
Caitlin's in and out, bringing the kids, to school, whatnot. So just getting to be around them and kind of figure out, how they are as a family, how they operate, realize that they are normal people. Like, that's been really neat.
It's probably way too early to tell, but like I said, I told you I interviewed Levi Jones, and he crashed with Jeff Walker and then Scott Bennick, and he put people up in his house. Shane Meals, one of them. I think Spridge lived with him for a little bit, and then at the end of it, he jokes. Levi goes, I'm still living in someone's guest room, but it's just it's their guest house because I'm in the house Tony owns on the property. Well, across the street from Eldora Speedway. What's it like, kind of quote unquote residing with the Larsons? I know it's not their house. It's just his shop. You're in there by yourself, but you've gotten to spend a lot of one-on-one time with, again, who I said already is the greatest race car driver of our generation. You told me earlier he gave you a pretty rave review, I think. You don't have to explain exactly where it happened.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But a couple of years ago at Chili Bowl, he got pretty honest with you. Can you tell that story?
So we were out one night, and we're in kind of a private space. It's just Kyle and I happened to be in there at the same time, and Kyle, I don't really know Kyle at this point, and obviously he kind of knew who I was, and he goes, "Hey, you know what I like about you?" I said, "What?" And, like, what do you have to say to me?
You're like, who are you talking to?
Yeah, looking over my shoulder. He's like, everything you say on the broadcast, I agree with. Like every time you say a guy should do this on a restart, I agree with you. Like you're spot on every time. And I'm like, dude, fuck yeah, Kyle. Like it's Kyle Larson telling me this shit. This is awesome.
Yeah.
And then he follows it up with, but when you get in a race car, it's like you forget everything you know and you're just out of control. Like, man, if you could just figure it out, you'd be so good. And I like wanted to cry in that moment. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I just need to go home. Like, how am I supposed to? And I'm pretty sure this was like very shortly after, I don't remember what year. I wish I did, but my Chili Bowl story is unreal. Like just the stuff that I figured out how to mess up ways out of good finishes at Chili Bowl. But right after one of those, you're like, man, like, why me? This sucks. So like, yeah, the biggest like 5-second pump up just to kick me off the cliff and put me down. And he like, Kyle and I have talked about it multiple times now. Like he feels bad about like what he said. He's like, I didn't think of it like that.
Does he even remember saying it?
Kind of. Yeah. Like he does remember saying it, but you know, there might've been a couple drinks involved and all that. So it just, to him, it was no big deal, right?
No.
He's just making a statement.
He was just being real with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he felt like he was like constructive criticism, you know, in a way. And it was like, it's all in how I perceive it.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, super, super cool that a guy like him, you know, watches like the broadcast and all. This was before he had kids.
Yeah.
And had any reason to be watching like Shootout and all that stuff. But yeah, you know, really, really neat that he would say those things. And then once I like got over the devastation of the second part of what he said, like to be like, okay, how can I take what he said, figure out how to apply it when I do race, all that, which at that point, my racing career was basically over. But I do feel like in the last 4 or 5 years, I've raced maybe 1/10 of what I've ever raced before, but it's been like my most successful time ever in a race car.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that is because you like think about things like Kyle have said and just figure out how to be more studious about it. Now I know I only get to race once or twice a year, so I got to make these races count and put in the work that I should have been putting in every week before. And
I was gonna say, so like that's my last like real big question here because I mean this has been amazing, and I really, really am grateful you're sitting down and talking because this is huge stuff you're talking about, and I love learning about you and learning these stories. But when you talked earlier about when these driving opportunities start to go away for you around 2021, all I could think about in that moment, and all I've been thinking about since is, so what does it mean to you today when someone offers you a seat in a race car?
Yeah, it's special. It all starts with Scott Byerly. I mean, he came to me with a midget opportunity to run for him at Chili Bowl, which he's the owner of the 11 car that I drive at Chili Bowl now. And I told him no at first because I had the RMS deal and the Rams deal. Like I had other rides. And so he was patient enough that when I needed a ride and I called him, he welcomed me, right in. And we've had great success. Like our first year together, we were in the B main on Saturday. We missed the transfer, but we were really good. And eventually that turned into him letting me bring the car out here to Indy, and I take care of it all year. We'll run a BC 39 if we can or whatever. But so he was super, super open. And I think like being in his car, I knew that I'm not going to get Chili Bowl opportunities probably ever again that aren't rental rides. I'll have to figure out how to come up with money. I don't have money to rent rides. So the fact that he's providing me, a free ride, I got to do everything I can to make the most out of this. And we've really good success. We haven't made the feature yet, which again, Chili Bowl makes me want to cry a lot of years, but it does make me cry every year. But so you're like, okay. And then that's turned in like the Chili Bowl success that we've had has turned into, other people kind of paying attention here and there. And so through that, like, I guess it probably started in 2024 when Chris was driving the Vermeer car. Mm-hmm. We were at Joliet, and all of a sudden we needed one more car to get split qualifying. Mm-hmm. And Tony Vermeer's like, yeah, I mean, you'll be fine. Like, get in that thing, go haul out, qualify it, see how it goes, whatever. And so not even like, not my seat, not my suit, nothing, get in it, and qualified 12th with the Outlaws that night. And,
wow.
And so it was like,
whose suit were you wearing, Chris's?
No.
I was like, that suit might have been a tick short.
I think it was Emerson Axum's.
Okay.
I think Emerson gave me a suit and a helmet, and Chris gave me some other stuff. And yeah, so it's like, oh, it wasn't half bad.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't run the heat race or anything, sadly, but it was like, oh, there's the doors this far open.
Were you 12th quick in your flight or 12th quick overall?
Overall.
That's crazy.
And so, like, yeah, just like this little bit of hope that, like, maybe I could still like race a tiny bit. And then, you don't really race, but here or there, maybe once or twice, just random. And then
breeders.
Yeah. So this year at Knoxville, and that's kind of a funny story on how that happened. I was working for Bernie at Knoxville, but not like necessarily employed by anybody. And so I go back to my parents' camper, and they like set up this big compound with multiple people, and we're all sitting there having a drink after the races, just talking. And Ryan and Ashley Heidbrider walk up, and they're not in love with the situation that they had, going with KT. I think things had been rough, and everyone was kind of mutually looking for a way out, it felt like. And so I'm like, hey, Ryan, what's it going to take for me to drive your car at the Hockett Memorial this year? And that's just, the Hockett race is so special for me from driving the 77. He's like, I don't know. If I need a driver and you're willing to bring a tire and some fuel, like, you can drive it. I'm like, okay, like, yeah, let's plan on it. Like,
but in this moment, are you believing it's serious?
Not really.
After the day is done at Knoxville, there's probably some libations.
Yeah, we've all been drinking a little bit. Like, and I just sitting there literally like across the table, just shot my shot with Ryan, had nothing to lose.
You got to.
And so
you have to.
I was like, oh, okay. So then the next day, his wife, Ashley, is like, we happened to be both in Tony Vermeer's suite, which is weird because I quit Tony Vermeer 2 weeks prior, the 55 team.
Yeah, this was that soon after.
I don't really know why she was in there necessarily, but she was in there. And so, like, fate has it, we're standing there talking. She's like, would you want to run more if we like had the ability to? I'm like, well, yeah, obviously, like that would be phenomenal. And so I'm like, but I said, I'm not agreeing to anything until you guys take care of your situation with KT. End of the week comes, KT's gone. And then come to find out, my cousin Cameron had been bugging them for rides also.
Oh, no.
And so they're like, well, it's only fair if we talk to Cameron also, because he's been calling us. And so they worked out this deal where I'm going to run one weekend, Cameron's going to run one weekend, then they're going to decide who they want.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so my first race, I start 12th and I run 4th at Lucas Oil. The second race, I led 17 of the 20 laps at Sedalia, Missouri.
Oh, yeah.
Got passed by Xavier Doney, and he won. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I blew it. Then the Cameron's weekend comes. He runs 3rd on his first night, and the second night he's running 2nd and spins out.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, like Cameron, I want to say this like publicly. I say it all the time, but like Cameron is far better race car driver than me. Like in our family, like he is phenomenal. He does not get enough credit for how good he is.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, it makes sense that Cameron's going to get the ride. He can race more than I do. He races a lot more now, whatever. And for some reason, they picked me. And I'm like, you guys are nuts. But all right,
for some reason, they pick me.
Dude, I mean, I hadn't raced in 5 years. Yeah. So it was just like a surprise. And so in the midst of all this is when Kyle's calling me. And I'm like, man, surely like this isn't going to go that well. Like I'll get a race a couple times, have fun, then I'll go work for Kyle. Well, I take Kyle's job. And all of a sudden the 19 thing goes pretty well. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I should keep doing this. And so like right now we're in the midst of like, do I quit Kyle's job and go race? Do I not? But no, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
So if I get to race some, it's cool. But to circle back to your first point, like racing now is like anytime I can get in a race car is so special to me. Yeah. Like there's nothing in this entire world I would rather do than sit behind the wheel of a freaking Wing 410 sprint car and run it as hard as it can be ran.
Well, it's never until something that you love is gone, I think, do you really realize how much you cared about it.
Yeah.
And then if you're fortunate enough with, which so many people aren't, when you get to go back or return to that thing, God forbid it's a person, when we're talking about losing somebody, but you probably do a little bit better job of loving, of caring, and taking just full scope of that opportunity, that person, that thing, whatever it is. So that's what I was wondering about is like, man, today, when you get offered a chance to drive a race car that you're not paying for, that's not your own equipment, that's a big deal.
It's a different moment for sure.
Yeah. And you can understand it probably a lot heavier now.
Take it in as a whole different experience than I was back in, 2018, 2019, kind of those times.
Is there anybody we've glossed over? Like I said, the kind of the big three to me, or the big two were obviously Matt and Dave Estep and their shop up in northern Indiana.
Yeah.
And then obviously Hunter and Jess, which I really wish I could have gotten one of them on the phone to give me a little bit of insight about you.
Yeah.
And then, today you're actively in the middle of, kind of bumming a spot off Kyle.
Definitely.
And spending all this time around him. And again, I'm just so excited. I'd love to do this with you again in a year or two and go, well, what have you learned about life? Not race cars.
Yeah.
Not working on them, not building them, not driving them. But what have you learned from a guy like Kyle Larson? Because, again, he doesn't get to where he's at by probably being a bad guy, by being a jerk.
Right.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal, race car driver. But you also, no matter how good you are, you can't be faster than your reputation.
Yeah.
I think.
That's crazy to say. That's a great, I've never thought about that, but that's a phenomenal thing to say.
I mean, in your guys' business, I don't really care how fast you are or how good of a driver you are.
Yeah.
And the same thing in my world. Like, you could be one of the best guys on the mic. You could be really entertaining. You could be fun. You could hit your marks and never miss a beat. But if you're an absolute bear to work with, you're probably not going to stick around very long.
No, absolutely.
And I can't say enough about how good I think you are on camera and how good you are with a mic at, again, explaining the sport and just commentary and analysis. You just do a phenomenal job for Flo. And I think, again, I'm going to go out on a limb and say something that might upset some of the older, fans, but I think you're the best driver analyst the sport of dirt track racing's probably ever had.
That's wild. That means a lot. I do appreciate that a ton. I mean, obviously there's been phenomenal people along the way, and every person's different. So tough to put a comparison, but thank you.
And I mean, I'll also admit, like, I'll give some ground. I get a small sample size, when you only do Chili Bowl and Shootout. But anytime I'd come up to you with a mic at high limit races, you'd always have something insightful, something good to add. And it's guys like you that scare guys like me, because it's like, well, shit, if Clinton ever wanted to get out of the competing side of the business, you could have a full-time broadcasting job, no problem.
I don't know. I wouldn't want to. I love sitting back and watching on Flo and listening to you and Chase banter back and forth.
It's a hoot.
And talk. What you guys do, I think, for making the people at home feel like they're watching their friends.
Mm-hmm.
You're not watching necessarily the most professional, black tie event.
Yeah.
We feel like we're watching our buddies talk about racing and race, and we feel connected to you guys. It's like, you're no different.
I appreciate that. My short thought on that is just, sprint car racing is very entertaining. It's so entertaining that you don't need me, you don't need Chase, you don't need Johnny Gibson, you don't need Brian Holbert, you don't need Chet. And that's not because any of us aren't good. It's just because the product on track is so good, you could mute the TV.
Yeah.
And God knows when I was at USAC, a lot of people did. But the racing is good enough. You don't need someone there telling you the cars and the numbers and the names. It's super helpful, and that's what an announcer does is they add to the broadcast like you do. But the racing is so good at this level and in this world that you and I are in today that you don't need announcers. So what Chase and I think, hope to try, and we've never once sat down and said, we need to make it feel like these people are watching the race at Brickers with their buddies, right?
Yeah.
But like I know what it's like to sit around and watch a race with you and Jason McDougall, or you and Justin, or Chris Wheeler and whoever's in the house, and you learn a lot and you are entertained.
Yeah.
And to me, I think people receive so much more when they're entertained and they're enjoying it. Because like you said, college was a struggle. And I'm guessing it had something to do with the fact you probably didn't enjoy being there very much.
Yeah.
And so I'd learn a lot more from you when we're having a fun, light conversation over the hood of your car, or in a shop like, AME's got right here next door. Dylan Cook's taken so much time with me and spent time working with me. So, but again, I think you're just phenomenal at the broadcasting part of your life. You're a real triple threat: driving, working on them, and talking about them.
The jack of all trades, but the master of none.
I heard Tony Stewart say that one time, and I use it. So these are just some little rapid fires, and you'd think I would watch the first one of these I did to make sure I'm asking all the same questions each time, but I just
wing it.
You can tell the production around here isn't exactly like top level. So I'm going to ask a few. Maybe I'll leave out some that somebody else got asked or whatever. And these are not necessarily, oh, how did you do it at Hunter and Jess's? How did you do it at the E-Steps? If you want to answer in that regard, you're welcome to, but it's more just like today, what is Clinton Boyles' philosophy on, first one being, first time over to someone's house, you're going to be a guest for maybe the afternoon, the evening, the week, the month, I don't know. What do we do with shoes? Are they on?
They're off.
They're off.
They're off. Yeah. Like, in my own house, I'll leave my shoes on, whatever. But if you're going, I went to Spencer Bason's house last night, his new house, and shoes were off first thing before you even on the garage steps.
Yeah,
like,
I would say he seems like a guy that you probably take your shoes off in the street
yeah.
and then
I
walk up
just
the
feel like
driveway.
I feel like until you are told by the owner, leave them on,
Yeah.
like probably 5 times they tell you to leave them on,
Yeah.
take them off. Just
5 times.
dude, just I don't know, yeah, out of
5
respect.
times. 5 times. I don't know if any homeowner is going to yell at you to keep your shoes on that many times. Okay, so shoes off. That's pretty much the consensus on that one. When you're staying over at someone's house and you're spending the night, you're spending a couple nights, and this is all personal preference. If it's a little too hot, a little too cold, you're not able to fall asleep because body temp is just out of this world. How do you go about that? Do you reach out to them?
No, I'm a deal with it kind of guy.
Really?
Like, as a guest, dude, I've spent some miserable nights being cold and you're just like frozen, but I'm not one to say anything.
Not like sneak around the house and find the thermostat
Nah.
and wiggle it a few
Like
degrees.
I'll search through the bedroom and find like some blankets and stuff. I don't remember where I was somewhere. I was on my golf trip with CV and B-Walks, and we were in Arizona, and I didn't book the Airbnb, so I kind of feel like a guest. Like B-Walks booked it. He had the master bedroom, this and that. Dude, my room was 42 degrees. It was the coldest I've ever been in my whole life. And we just had like it was basically a sheet. It wasn't even a blanket. And I'm freezing. And I'm like, I'm not going to mess with the thermostat, but I'll like, try to find a blanket, this and that.
Yeah, so you're grinning to get through it.
Yeah, come to find out, the thermostat was set on say 68. I don't know, whatever it's supposed to be on. But all the vents, the AC vents were closed
So you weren't getting
to the
any warm
room
air.
that the thermostat was in. So no, it was only blowing in my room.
Okay.
It was only going in my room. So my room's constant AC blowing while the room with the thermostat's blocked off.
It's
so it
not
just thinks it's
cooling off.
hot. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my. I remember what time. So CV was in the same situation. Our rooms were next to each other.
Well, and he's a little guy.
Yeah. And he had Lane with him, his daughter.
Oh, wow.
And Kinley. That one night they happened to be there. And finally at like 2:33 in the morning, Logan was like, dude, freaking cold. And I'm like, I am miserable. I can't sleep. And we figured it out. And so, yeah, thank God he said something, because I was willing to I
Freeze.
opened my window. I mean, it's
In
Arizona.
Arizona.
It's 70 degrees outside. So
Yeah.
I just opened my window to try to like heat my room up. But the baby needed heat. So
Yes.
yeah, I mean, thank goodness for Lane being there, because I would have just been miserable all night. I probably would have just went and slept outside.
Big ups to Lane, Logan Kinley's.
Lane Seavey, a hero.
Big ups to Lane. This is something that I feel like when I asked Levi about this, and I ended up doing one of these with like the first guy that ever gave me a microphone, and he's in his like I think mid to late 60s now. So Levi and Kurt, they don't really get this question because this wasn't a thing when they were crashing on people's couches and going from place to place. But I feel like it's a huge problem. That's probably starting to get a little low, isn't it?
No, you're right.
Well, the good news is
I feel comfortable.
We're almost done, so don't worry about the couch. At least you never had to sleep on a couch that deflated, I hope, in your
No, I don't
travels.
think so. Some blow-up mattresses that would
This thing
deflate.
folds out into a bed. That's what the bottom pad is. If you flip
Okay.
that out, it turns into like a pull-out couch.
Freaking fancy.
Yeah, it's something. It can't keep air in it. It's not even like you're a big guy. It's just
Surprised you don't still have the plastic on it so we don't get it dirty.
it's a piece of crap. If I could return it, I absolutely would have. Oh, I get like furniture covers
Yeah.
for your house furniture.
Yeah.
That'd be funny. That should be the next edition. Or some inflatable pillows,
Yes.
like an inflatable throw
pillows
pillow
would
for
be
you.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's a good. You're not only running to be host of this show. I think you're running to be producer. This is a problem that like I suffer with terribly when I'm a guest in someone's house, and I just admit that I'm bad about it. But when you go over to someone's place and you're crashing, or they come over to yours, what's the attitude on the remote to the TV in the common area?
So-
Is it whatever everybody else is watching? I'll sit down and just
Yeah.
choke it down, or is it because everybody's remote today has access to YouTube, to Netflix,
Right.
to Hulu? I'm guilty of always going, as long as we're not all glued to the program, I might go, hey Clint, can I show you something really quick? You got to see this feature from the Tulsa Shootout last year. You're gonna
Yeah.
love it. I'm very guilty of that. I'm guilty of getting my mic cable cut under the wheels. What's the attitude on what we do with the microphone?
I would never like
or the remote.
Tony, I am so dumb when it comes to technology. Like working with Kyle, I've had to learn so much about how to use my phone and different apps on my phone. And the freaking lights in our trailer are Bluetooth connected to my phone. Why? It seems there should be a switch on the wall. They're on, they're off.
Mhm.
We don't need different colors, all this junk. Like, it's cool, but so like I struggle there's a golf sim at Kyle's, and the golf sim is on an iPad connected to 2 TVs in kind of that same area.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even freaking turn the iPad on, let alone turn the iPad on, turn the TVs on, turn the golf sim on, figure out which one I'm running volume over here and not over here. Dude, it's a disaster. So,
hey, Owen, come down and help me get the golf sim started.
Or the iRacing sims that are there. Like, I'm a lost cause. So I can't figure out how to use a remote, so I'm not going to complain about what's on the TV.
So we're just watching whatever's on.
I'll just shut up and sit there. I'm a great guest. I don't complain about the temperature. I'll shut up and listen to whatever's on the TV. Like, I like to be very low maintenance.
Well, that's how you get invited back, and that's how people look at you and go, oh, this guy's probably going to be okay to stay at the house and to not be a real big pain in the you-know-what. What about when you're done being a great house guest and you've spent your time, your week, your month, whatever, and it comes time to say thank you? And I'm just going to leave it open-ended at first here because I often flip people the scenario of what I do, but you'll be my first one. I open this up a lot more too. How do you say thank you to a host that's let you stay with them for however long? And if it's different for you by the amount of time that you've stayed, feel free to explain.
A little bit. Yeah. Me 5 years ago, I would just say thank you and move on. Yeah, I'm out of there. Me now that I have a house and I open it up to guests all the time. Like, I love, you talking about, coming back in a couple of years, I would love to come on as the person that's providing that space for people. But like, they've left some gifts. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. So now, like, if it's, a short stay, send a Starbucks gift card, whatever, a little bit longer stay, take you out to dinner. Well, like, it could be anything of that nature, but definitely repay the favor somehow. Like, I love going out to eat. That's my favorite thing ever. So if I could like convince them to like let me take you out to dinner, buy you some food and drinks, then that's my favorite way of saying thank you.
Going to you're just going to take them all the way, no matter where in the country you're at. You're just going to be like, we have to go 18 hours to what's it called?
El Abuelo.
El Abuelo. Yeah. Well, we're in California, Clinton. I don't care.
Yeah.
We're going back to Indiana.
Yeah.
And we're going to go eat at El Abuelo.
Yeah. Like, I spent a week down at Factory 14, which is Holly Holland runs it. And they let me come in the most busy time of their year and build a junior sprint on their showroom floor. Like, completely opened up their entire facility for me and took Billy Lawhead, one of the guys that works there, off whatever he was doing to help me for that week, like learn how to build a junior sprint. So like, the best way I figured out that I could repay him was just take him out to a nice steak dinner, all that. And like, hopefully that was enough. I would assume so, but let's get away from the work or whatever we're all focused on and go enjoy, an hour together.
Yeah. Well, you're a golf guy. I know that. And I quoted this to Levi. I saw an interview not even an interview, but just like on social media, there's just pictures of people with a quote of theirs or whatever. And, knowing it was on the internet, who knows if he actually even said this, but I believe he did. Scotty Scheffler, like a year or two ago, was quoted as just saying, like, detachment is the secret. So, like, he's like, golf's like number 3 or 4 to me. It's faith. It's my family. Yeah. It's my friends. And then it's golf. Yeah. And he credits that for his ability to step away from it all as what's been able to promote him to the level in golf that he's at today.
Yeah. I'm a massively firm believer in that. Like,
well, you said that about Hunter. You said Hunter's like 100% all the time sprint car racing there. He never needs a break, but you said, nah, it's not me. I still need a little bit of time.
Yeah. If I don't get away for a little bit, then I get burnt out for sure. So some detachment, like, it's even as simple for me as like teams have Kyle asked if we want a toter home. And I said, absolutely not. Like that time that I can leave the race rig in the parking lot, walk into a hotel and not have to look at it. That's wonderful for me. Like, even the 6 hours you're in there sleeping, whatever, is enough detachment that it's like, okay, let's fresh start in the morning. We're walking out. Let's open up, whatever. I just, but I'm right there with you. Like, my golf trip that we go on at the end of the year with Stevie and B-Walks every year. We don't freaking talk about racing on that golf trip. That's the last thing any of us want to talk about is racing. So, I mean, we get all the racing we want all the time, but it's nice to get away for a little bit.
It's so funny you said, because I remember growing up as a kid, I was the biggest NASCAR addict. I would watch everything about NASCAR, and I don't know if you were a NASCAR fan or not, but in the early 2000s, there was more NASCAR content than you could shake a stick at because the sport was so popular.
Yeah.
And they had this thing on FX, like NASCAR Drivers 360, and it would follow Casey Kane, and it would follow Jay McMurray, and it would just go home with them. They lived with a camera crew for the whole week leading up to a race, and you'd see what they did on Monday, on Tuesday, heading to the track on Wednesday night, to practice Thursday, qualify Friday, whatever. And I remember this episode where like Jamie McMurray's like, yeah, I don't get a chance to see these guys from back home very often. So we go out to eat. And you know, we don't even talk about racing for a split second. Well, you know, 13, 14-year-old Tony Laporta's like, how do you not talk about, you're a NASCAR driver? How do you not talk? And now it's like you're 100% right. Like,
makes sense.
And
now.
it's not for anything with negativity, or you're not like, oh, I hate my job, I hate the sport, nothing like that. But you're just like, it consumes so much of everything. I don't get a chance to think about baseball or anything else you're into.
I feel terrible for like my parents, especially. I'm sure there's a lot of crew guys or drivers that feel this way. Like, the race gets over and my mom calls. Well, what happened?
Wants to talk about it.
Maybe didn't see you on TV that much, but like, yeah, what happened in the work area? This, like, Mom, the last thing I want to talk about is racing.
Yeah.
Anything, please, other than racing. Or we go home and family members, oh my gosh, how's racing been? What do you do? Like, just, can we talk about anything?
Yeah.
But no, it's.
Man, you have great stories, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't even know, you know, half the stuff you told me, and I'm really grateful, and I'm not joking when I say it'd be cool. You know, if this thing goes more than 5 episodes, who knows? This thing,
it will.
Thing might
love the basis of
Thank
this.
You.
Like, yeah, and I think you'll realize, you know, your basis is staying on couches, getting opportunities, but I think you get people to open up in a way that not everyone does about their life, and so like, thank you for having me on. And
man, the last 2 days, you and a few days ago, Connor Daly was on this thing in this same room, and I just can't believe the stories that have come out of it. And yes, I do personally think that everybody wants to know about how people get to where they're at. And the last thing I'll say is what I told to Connor, and I've told other people this off camera. It's my litmus test for a good person is how willing are you to talk about other people, specifically the ones who've helped you. Because no doubt I could have sat here and been like, Clinton, man, you're running Kyle Larson Racing's development program for his kids. You're in the best spot a guy in micro racing could ever be in, literally.
Yeah.
How'd you get there? And you could have been like, man, I just never gave up. I grinded.
Yeah.
I had hot sauce sandwiches. I bought this fat pit reporter a sandwich once. And I just do it for the love of the game, and I'm killing it right now.
Yeah.
But instead, and of course you knew the theme of the show, but instead, all you do, and Connor, he just went on and on and on about, oh, this guy did this for me, and this person showed me how to do this, and this guy let me stay here. And I think the real, you know, green light, red light for a good person or a bad person is how willing are you to pass the credit around? Yeah. And you took it a whole nother level, and you highlighted your real shortcomings. So I've learned a ton, and I genuinely appreciate you for talking and for just helping me out the way you have. And I really do hope if this thing's still going on in another year or two, you'd come back and tell me about A, what you've learned from your life with Kyle Larson and his family, and B, who have you opened up your couch to and who's been benefiting from your generosity, because I have no doubt you'll do it for a lot of other people.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. It'd be great to be back on.
Well, thanks for hanging out on the couch.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll put some air in it right now.
Sounds good.